Got it. All right, let's get it. Yo, we are back with another great edition of Across the Plane. I am one of three hosts tonight, Marcel. Make sure you give me a follow on Instagram. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter. They are both at styles_rapids life. Cause guess what, baby? Football season is here. It is upon us, and I have been talking Bears football, even though I have been just kind of dreading what we're about to see this year. But hey, you never know, man. That's the best thing about football. Even bad teams can just have a miracle run. I'm super excited. Make sure you give me a follow.
Yo, 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 what is going on, folks? This is Will. Go ahead, check me out. That's all at Sports Talk Willie. As always, check out the main page. Folks, I am so excited. NFL is right around the corner. And as always, we are going to get into our NFL predictions like we do every year. I cannot wait. I know I've looked over some of these predictions, and a couple of them are all over the place. So I cannot wait to get into it.
Hey, Jake the Rookie, THA like across the plane. Yeah, make sure to follow and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube right now. It's first YouTube live stream. Welcome everybody who is watching this live or in the future.
Yeah, this is cool. Our very first time we've done an episode live YouTube. Finally figured out how to set it up and do everything. So welcome YouTube viewers. If you come in,
Uncut and unedited.
I know. So be prepared. We might say some crazy stuff tonight. So yeah, today is our big. It's probably our favorite show to do every year. It is our NFL predictions because we are the most accurate predictors and across all professional NFL talk experts. We are correct every year. Anyone tells you otherwise, they are wrong. We are the best. So everything we say is law, and everything we say is most likely going to happen. Um, all right, so kind of kick things off. We always save the NFC North for last because these two are Vikings fans. I'm a Bears fan, so we like to save the trash talking and the NFC North predictions for last. So we're going to start in the AFC, and we're going to start in the AFC East, which I actually believe will be fairly easy of how everyone thinks it's going to turn out. So first thing we're going to talk about is the Buffalo Bills. They are actually currently the Super Bowl favorites. Super Bowl favorites. Uh, right now, I think the Bills are going to be absolutely excellent this year. I do think they're going to lose opening night to the Rams. It's really tough for me to see the defending champs lose at home opening night. It rarely happens. But I do think the Bills are going to just have a great year. I do think they've earned the right for Super Bowl favorites. And I do think they got better by adding Von Miller. I'm super excited to watch them this year. I think they do win the AFC East. I think they go about 13-4. And I don't have that is not enough for the one. The AFC is insane, and that's not enough for the one seed. Believe it or not, in my
Yes, it is.
prediction, I not in my world. I have a team
Okay.
above them. I do have a team above them, but I do think the Bills are going to go 13-4, and I think they're going to get to 2 seed after winning the AFC East.
Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward with the Bills here, in my opinion. I mean, they've they should be ascending. I mean, Josh Allen is still ascending. They've still, a lot of their good players are still in their prime. They've drafted some position players. They got James Cook, the running back. We'll see what happens with him, but really not a whole lot has changed. They've got a really great defense. It's just I just like the stability that they have. I also have them at 13-4, but I do think that is the one seed. Um, I think I think I'm gonna have to go along with the narrative of Josh Allen. I think he's gonna win MVP. I think the Bills are gonna have the best record in the NFL. I think I don't think I'm not overthinking that one too much. I just think there's so much stability with them, and they're just on a nice ascension. And I don't see what goes wrong for the Bills, barring any obviously like a major injury to a key player.
Yeah, I'm going 12-5, winning the division and have them snagging the one seed because I feel like they're gonna finish with the same record as another team, but have a tiebreaker.
All right, so we all agree Bills are going to be uh, the best team in the AFC East and arguably the best team in the AFC. Moving on to another AFC East team, we got the Miami Dolphins. So I actually think the Dolphins are going to be pretty good this year. I do think they're just like kind of a tier, like one tier below like all the top dogs in the AFC. I do think the AFC has more Super Bowl contenders, and I just think the Dolphins are just a tiny bit below that. Like I just can't put them in that tier. So I do have them finishing over 500. I actually have them getting 10 wins, but I don't think they make the playoffs. I don't think 10 wins is going to be enough to make it in the AFC. That division, I mean that conference is going to be nuts. And the NFL is very top heavy right now. I think the bottom teams are like really bad, and the top teams are really good. So I think the Dolphins, who are just going to be like right close to the top tier, but just miss it. I think they finished second in the AFC East, but they just barely missed the playoffs.
I think I do have them as the final seed. I have them actually winning 10 games this year. I think Vegas has their win total over under at 8.5. If I was a betting man, well, I am a betting man, but I like the over on that one. I think Miami has a really good chance to win 9 or 10 games this year. I think I really like the offensive additions. I mean, how can you not like Tyreek Hill? But they have a pretty solid defense. They've had some good drafts over the years, and I think Tua's he doesn't have a high ceiling, but I think he's a good floor guy. I think there's going to be a lot of guys in that offense running the ball at you. I think they're going to keep those running backs fresh, and I just think it's going to be a really efficient offense. They're going to stay on the field for a long time, and they're going to have a lot of not pretty wins, but I think they'll get to 10.
Yeah, I think they're going to start off really slow too. They have kind of tough beginning of the season, in my opinion. I think they have to win week 1 against New England, because I think against the Ravens, the Bills, Bengals, next 3 games will be hard. Dolphins, I like at 9 wins. I think I have them 9-8 and missing the playoffs.
Yeah, man. I'm there's a lot of really good teams in the AFC, and I think the Dolphins are one of them. But I'm not super sold on Tua. I'm also not super sold on their defense. I do think there are pieces on their defense. Xavier Howard is really good. That could really push them, but I gotta see what Tua does. Tua. Tyreek Hill says he's got the prettiest ball in the league. I think that's insane, but
And they have some tough home games against Minnesota and Green Bay. And I'd even say Cleveland's a tough home game.
man, yeah, you just had to sneak Minnesota in there. Here's
So,
a team.
They got to win at home.
I agree. Next team in the AFC East. This team is really tough to gauge. Has an all-time great coach, a lot of really young pieces, some questionable moves. The New England Patriots. So this team is really tough to gauge because I really think the offense is going to be bad. I mean, they have Matt Patricia and Joe Judge calling plays. Mac Jones, best receiver are Hunter Henry and Jacoby Myers.
Devontae Parker, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. We have to see with Devontae Parker. The O line is going to be really good, and I think their running game. Bill Belichick teams usually have really good running game, but there's just so many question marks for this team. Like, I really don't know how they're going to compete with everyone else in the AFC. I early in the offseason, I thought people were underrating them, and I thought they had a chance to be sneaky good, but just kind of watching them in preseason and just knowing who's calling plays for them, I think it's going to be tough on the offensive side of the ball for them. So I think they do finish third in the AFC East. I think they only win about 7 games. I think it's the lowest I've been on them in a few years. Usually I'm pretty high even after Brady left. But I think this is the year we start to see we might even hear some calling for Bill Belichick's head this year. I don't know if he actually would get fired. They would probably have to completely fall off a cliff for that to happen. But I think it's gonna be a long year for New England.
I feel like the only way that would happen is if they're down there at like 4 or 5 wins. Maybe. And I think it might even have to be worse than that to get rid of Belichick. I feel like he's established himself as kind of unfireable.
He'd probably have to lose the locker room.
Exactly.
That's what it would take. And I don't think he could do it. I just don't see that happening.
Well, if you lose 15, 16, 17 games, you lose the locker room pretty quick, I feel like.
That'll do it. But I think the Patriots are going to be, again, I think I don't know. I feel like we kind of know what we're getting. I mean, yeah, they've lost some pieces on the defense, but they're a well-coached team. They've got a great offensive line. They've got two pretty talented running backs, and we can expect them to have a good running game this year. And Mac Jones is, I mean, he is Mac Jones. You know, even if he has a slight ascension, I think we see him at 9 wins. Vegas says they're over under at 8.5, and I'm right there on the hook with it. I think they win. I think they win 9 games. I really do, and I think it's just a lot of their offensive line and run game. They're going to be controlling the clock a lot. They're going to have a solid defense. Mac Jones isn't going to have to do too much, but I think that we see them running the ball a lot with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, we knew that was gonna be the case too. I don't feel like they're gonna change the offense off. They drafted Mac Jones. Defense is usually sound. I like them. I like them on the hook, but under. I got them at 8. I don't think they get quite over. I don't think they make the playoffs. They're gonna have a good season, but they're just gonna be an average. I think it's the whole league's gonna be close. So 8 and 9 is not a bad finish.
Wow, I'm the highest on. Oh no, I'm the lowest on the Patriots. Wow,
Yeah.
that is a change. Usually, I'm the one who's overly high on them. All right, what a twist. And then the last team in the AFC East, the MILF with the MILF Hunter himself at quarterback, the New York Jets. I think this team is gonna be just slightly better than what people expect. However, this is also with me in the mind thinking people believe the Jets are gonna be god awful. I don't think they're gonna be god awful. I think they're gonna be just bad, but I think they're gonna get some wins where you're like, oh, okay, that was kind of a solid Jets win right there. I think they might even have like a 2 or 3 game winning streak where you're just like, okay, maybe this Jets team can come together. But ultimately, they are the New York Jets, and I do think they're gonna finish with a bad record, 6-11. But I think it's gonna be like a competitive 6-11, where there's just games where they're just do Jets things and lose like 3 different game winning situations. They're going to be an interesting team to watch. They have to prove something early, though, in my opinion, because the later in the season you get, and you start to struggle, the pressure gets really bad for both the head coach and the quarterback, and that's not something you want. So yeah, I think the Jets, they finished last in the division, but I do think they get like a solid competitive 6 wins.
I think I got them at 5. I don't think it's going to be too crazy. I think they've got some nice pieces on the offense and honestly on both sides of the ball, but it's a tough division. AFC is tough. And Zach Wilson sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, really what it comes down to. He turns the ball over too much. He's got some good receivers, but I just don't like. I have them as 3rd worst in the AFC. So
I'm not big on Zach Wilson either. I have him finishing under the 5.5. I have him at 4 and 13. I like a lot of the rookies. They drafted well in the first round this year with their 3 picks. I liked but we'll see. We'll see. I think they'll be exciting, but I don't think they'll be good.
So you're both lower on the Jets because you don't believe in Zach Wilson?
Yeah,
correct.
I'm
okay.
just. Yeah.
I think I don't think that's a bad argument. I totally understand that.
The thing is they're well coached, and they've got solid skill position players, and they've got solid players on the defensive side of the ball, but they've got Zach Wilson.
And maybe he proves me wrong. Hopefully he goes out there and does his thing. And New York. Actually, I don't want to see New York Jets fans anywhere on the internet.
They do have a pretty decent O-line, so that definitely helps. But
they do. They lost Becton for the year.
Yeah, they did.
But they replaced him with Dwayne Brown, who I don't know.
He's old, but he's
probably just as solid as Becton. Yeah, man. Jets are good. I think the Jets are gonna be kind of interesting. Just keep Zach Wilson away from your moms. So yeah, that's the AFC East. moving on to the AFC South. Uh, so really, I think it's two teams and then a big gap and then the other two teams, in my opinion. To start, I'm just gonna keep rolling with the Tennessee Titans, winning this division. I mean, like they've just since Mike Vrabel's got there, man, that team just stumble and bumbles their way, and they just like Derrick Henry and run the ball, play defense their way to the playoffs every single year. I think they have a incredibly low ceiling, but they have a really high floor, as we saw last year, as they were the one seed, and that was with Derrick Henry missing 8 games. Um, they have a really high floor, but also a really low ceiling with Ryan Tannehill as the quarterback. But I do think they're going to be really good. I think they're going to win like 11 games. Again, but I think the AFC is going to be really top heavy and really close. And I think that's only good enough for the 4 seed. But yeah, man, Mike Vrabel is such a good coach, man. He does not get enough credit for how competitive he keeps Tennessee every year. I think they're a quarterback away. Like someone just a little better than Ryan Tannehill. They got the coach for it.
I don't know. I'm actually. I think this is the year we start to see the Titans decline.
We say that every year though. Like every year.
I don't know. I think this year we're starting to see like losing skill position players. Their offensive line. This is Pro Football Focus. Take it with a big grain of salt. But this is the lowest their offensive line has ever been graded. I mean, according to Pro Football Focus, they have the 27th best offensive line. I think that's going to be a huge problem. Derrick Henry coming off a foot injury. I think he's going to have a great year, but I just don't think Treylon Burks is going to be a viable replacement or Robert Woods for A.J. Brown. I mean, A.J. Brown is one of the best players in terms of yards after the catch. I don't like their offense. I think they're going to struggle moving the ball. I think this is going to be the toughest year of Ryan Tannehill's Tennessee career because Derrick Henry's going to have the most inefficient year, I think, because I think it's all going to come down to the offensive line, and their defense really isn't. I mean, their defense isn't really inspiring.
They did lose Harold Landry, who went to the Pro Bowl last year. He is now out for the year.
Yeah, I think the writings are on the wall for the Titans to start kind of having a downfall. I mean, really, they've got a good coach. They've got an aging running back coming off of a foot injury. He could be special. They've got Ryan Tannehill, and that's about it, really.
Yeah, and they have very tough non-division games. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to be not starting by the end of the year. I have him winning 8 games, and I don't even know it could be less than that looking at their schedule. It just looks really tough for them. They're well coached. Vrabel's good coach. He's going to win games, but like week 1, they better beat the Giants. But other than that, they got to play the Bills out of the division. They got to play Packers, Chiefs, Bengals.
That's tough.
Chargers, Cowboys.
A lot of those games are at home, though, aren't they?
A lot of them are at home. That is the advantage. But
that's gonna be interesting. They don't really have a good home field advantage, though. It's not like they're Titan fans everywhere.
Yeah. Raiders, Broncos, yeah, there's tough games. So I got them at 8 and 9, not making the playoffs.
Wow, Mike Vrabel just finds ways. So I'm high on him. That's mostly.
He's a good coach.
Yeah, I really like him. Moving on to the Indianapolis Colts. This team every year just like I feel like you look at them and it's like they should be good, but then they just like do something that makes sure they're not gonna like finish better than what they should. So I think they're gonna win 10 games. But I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. So yeah, I have 2 10-win teams not making the playoffs in the AFC. I feel like they're gonna just have too many games where they're gonna lose when they shouldn't. And even with the addition of Matt Ryan, who should be a better quarterback than Carson Wentz, even though Carson Wentz had a pretty good year last year. I just like this team just finds ways to lose games, and it's like in super weird way. Actually, they don't even find ways; they just lose to teams they should be beating. Like they dropped that game to Baltimore. early in the season when they were up like 22-6. They lost to Jacksonville, who had nothing to play for at all. Like, I don't know. I'm never high on the Colts, and I'm gonna stay fairly low on them again.
We got them at the over. It's 9.5.
Yeah, I think they just barely go over. They're gonna beat a couple teams. You're like, okay, that's a really good Colts win, but then they're gonna lose to, like Houston or something. Like, like it's just what they do.
I mean, yeah, but everyone's gonna lose to a bad team in their division. Or not everybody, but there's gonna be those every
A
year.
lot of good teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
I y'all know what I'm gonna say. I like
Yeah.
the Colts.
Will loves the Colts every year.
I mean,
I
all
like 'em
let's
this
be
year.
realistically though. Like realistically, we've been saying for so long since Andrew Luck had kind of flip flop. When they had Andrew Luck, it was like, man, they need pretty much everything but a quarterback. Andrew Luck left, and they've now built a team where you're kind of like, they're pretty solid. I mean, their defense improved
Mhm.
last year. If anything, their offensive line is one of the best in the leagues. We're expecting to see ascension of Michael Pittman. Jonathan Taylor's coming in healthy as one of the best running backs in the league. They added Stephon Gilmore. Like they've got some really solid players. They've got some all-pro players on both sides of the ball, and I think they just had a massive upgrade at quarterback. I think
And they
Going from
just
Matt Ryan to Carson Wentz is a huge upgrade.
and they just signed Philip Lindsay to the practice squad.
There you go.
Philip Lindsay is garbage.
That's
Like,
a
that
Pro
doesn't move-
Bowler.
That doesn't move the needle.
Respect the Pro Bowler.
But yeah, I mean, I think they got better in other areas of their team, and they got a big upgrade at quarterback. Like I've gotta have them winning more games than last year.
Hypothetically, how many games would they win if Andrew Luck was on this team?
13, probably like 13 or 14.
I'm not gonna disagree, man. I miss Andrew Luck. What about you, Jake?
I mean, with Andrew Luck, they might have had things would have been different.
No, I'm
You
Yeah.
saying if we could put Andrew Luck on this team right here with the offense, I'd probably have him at the one closer to. I have him one more win than I have him right now.
What do you have him now?
I have him at 11-6, winning the division.
Oh man, I don't know why people keep buying Cold stock, man. They find ways to underachieve.
Well, yeah,
Man,
but they can
anytime they've had a
underachieve in the
decent
playoffs.
quarterback,
so.
They're pretty good. They had Wash Phillip Rivers and they won like 11 or 12 games.
And I'm big on Matt Ryan on this team. I think that does move the needle for this team.
I'm very curious. Matt Ryan's an underrated quarterback all time. I'm very curious to see. Yeah, he's like top 10 in yards, I believe, all time. That's the thing.
Matt Ryan's a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
As an MVP. Yeah, we'll see with the Colts, man. That team just tends to underwhelm every year.
You could make a really great argument. This is the best team Matt Ryan's ever played for.
Nah, man. 2016 Falcons.
No, yeah, the Falcons are pretty good. But
There's definitely an argument.
there's an argument.
Probably the best offensive line he's had.
Best offensive line, best running game he's had. You could make an argument it's the best defense.
I don't
he's
know.
had.
That running game in 2016 was
2016 was really good, yeah.
2016 was really good, but we're not talking about the Colts last year, bro. They got best as of right now, they got
probably the best running
running
back, but that Falcons running game was Kyle Shanahan, man, knows how to make a running offense.
Yeah.
And then moving into some of the cellar dwellers here, we got so the Houston Texans. I think they're going to be really bad. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. They're only going to win like 3 games. That team does not have a lot of talent. They're like the San Antonio Spurs of the NFL right now. But it's really it's like Brandon Cooks.
I don't see a path
and
for them
nothing
to
else.
winning like 5 games. I don't see a path to that. They're really bad, like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they
just
win like
don't
3
have good
games.
players.
Don't have good players. I mean, I feel like they're gonna sneak out some wins, but I got them at 4-13.
Yeah, I only have them winning about 3 games. I just don't know where they're going to get wins at. I think when Deshaun Watson comes to town, it's going to be really interesting. Though that might be one of them because they're definitely going to play up for that game. Yeah, I
4.5 is the over under.
yeah, I'd probably take the under on that. It's
Um,
just, I mean, it's really, I mean, can
it's crazy that we're like pretty much on the hook with a lot of these.
I'm just curious to know if the average NFL fan can name 5 current Texans. I don't know if they could.
Davis Mills, Damian Pierce,
Brandon
Brandon
Cooks.
Cooks. This where
Nico
it gets tough.
Collins.
Yeah, then it gets tough after that.
Kaimi Fairbairn. I think he's still there,
I
right?
think he's still there.
There you go.
Whitney Marsalis, I don't think is there either. And then the final team in the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right. So looking at it now, I think I might be a bit too low on this team.
Can you really be too low on the Jags?
But I really think we're gonna see a pretty good year from Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, Tyler Johnson's on the Houston Texans.
Oh, Minneapolis very own. I forgot he signed it. I think OJ Howard is there too now.
Yep.
So I do think Trevor Lawrence is gonna have a pretty good year, and we're gonna see a lot of flashes from him. But I truly think it's like Trevor Lawrence surrounded by a sea of garbage. Like that's what I think is happening right now in Jacksonville. Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence are both going to get a lot of blame. I don't think it's going to be their fault.
They
Trent
just don't
Baalke
have-
is just a shit GM.
Yeah. They
And
don't have the personnel to be good.
no, they have the highest payroll. They spent the most money this offseason. And just have like really
They did upgrade a little bit, but like I don't know.
Christian Kirk is not an upgrade. Evan Ingram is not an
No,
upgrade.
no, no,
You're
no,
just
no, not on offense. Not on offense.
So Trayvon Walker might be good, but they literally just were super garbage. And instead of putting like good players to replace them, they put mid players to replace them, and that's just not enough in the NFL. I think they're gonna be awful. I would not be surprised if they got the number 1 pick again.
I think they're going to be terrible. I think, yeah, they have no. I don't think they have really any good skill positions. I don't think ETN.
And they get
is
Brandon
really that good.
Scherf. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you have one. So you upgraded your guard position. Like that's
That's
it.
Steve Hutchinson. That was one of the biggest free agent signings. Minnesota
During a
Vikings.
running dominant league. Now it's all
That's
about
true.
the tackle, though.
And Vikings had way more talent than this Jacksonville team.
Yeah, that
It-
offensive line was great back in the day.
Yeah, I think they're going to be arguably the worst team in the league, man. I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to be really good. I'm not even going to say really good. I think he'll be good. He'll see flashes, and there'll be enough smart NFL people that'll watch this team be like, all right, this is not Trevor Lawrence's fault. But it's sure not going to be easy for that kid.
I don't know. It's maybe. Yeah, I don't like his receivers. It's not gonna be easy. It's the only thing we get to see is him and Etienne, how they work together, because he does like throwing to the running back.
And it's his college one.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I have them at 4-13. I'm not big high on them. Let's see what the over under is.
Hammering the under, whatever it is. Even if it's 1.5, I'm hammering the under.
It is 6.5.
Under.
For the Jags.
I'm
Yeah.
hammering the under. Taking
Man,
all
I
the
might
money
give
I
me a
got.
little futures parlay. You know what I'm saying?
All the money I got on the
All the
under.
over under futures parlay.
I'm sorry, Jags fans, but you do have Trevor Lawrence. So the one thing you can say is you don't have to draft a quarterback. You just got to build around him better.
Find out everything else.
Yeah, fire Trent Baalke. That's the first thing you gotta do.
Yeah.
That man's garbage.
Yeah. All right. Were we on the AFC North now?
Yep. Let's go on to the AFC North.
I got the Ravens winning this division. I think they're going to have a great year. I think Lamar Jackson's going to come in kind of with the chip on his shoulder. A lot of noise in the offseason about the contract. The Ravens do always seem to have just like horrible luck with injuries. But I don't know. I think Lamar Jackson just takes another step forward. I think he has MVP caliber season. I don't know if he necessarily gets it, but I think he's going to put up MVP numbers. Great run game, solid defense, solid O line. Like I think they win 12 games. I think that's gets them the 3 seed in the AFC. I do have them behind 2 other teams, but I think 12-5 is tied for the second best record in the AFC.
I got them winning 11, but also winning the division. And I do agree with that take. I think we see a big year from Lamar Jackson if he remains healthy. And I think he'll get snubbed MVP.
So I'm high on the Ravens. Yes, I don't have to win in the division though, but I think they're gonna be like a really, really, really good 5 seed. Like I say they're one of the 4 best teams in the AFC, but I do have a team in the division I think is gonna be better. But I think they can win like 13-ish games. I really do. I think they're gonna be really good. I think Lamar Jackson is gonna be in just a huge FU mood this year and just go on a rampage just to prove that he deserves to get paid. And he does deserve to get paid. He shouldn't really have to prove it, but Lamar Jackson, I think he's probably might be the most electrifying player in football this year. It's gonna be really fun. But Will, you are right that this team does get unlucky with injuries a lot. Knock on wood. They have actually had a pretty good preseason so far when it comes to injuries. I don't think they've lost. I think all their players are currently healthy right now. But yeah, man, I do think they're contenders. I think we're about to get a big year from Lamar Jackson, but there's just one team in the AFC North I'm a little higher on. And that team is the Cincinnati Bengals. I actually think both of them finished with the same record. At least that's what I have, the 13 wins. But at least on the side I use, Cincinnati had to ended up getting the tiebreaker and winning the division. And I do think Cincinnati is actually going to be the 1 seed in the AFC. I think this team has just a sour taste in their mouth from that Super Bowl loss, and they are going to come back out and just firing on all cylinders. I think they're they upgraded the offensive line. They unfortunately still have Eli Apple out there at corner, but I think their offense is just going to light up the league again. Jamar Chase, I think, is going to be excellent this year. No, I don't have Jamar Chase on my awards list, but I think he's going. I think he's going to be in competition for offensive player of the year. I'm just expecting a really big year from Bengals. And yeah, I think they're gonna be the 1 seed in the AFC, man. I think they're gonna coast through the regular season. We'll talk about what will happen in the playoffs, but I'm super excited for that team.
Yeah, I think they finished the same record as the Ravens, but I think they'll end up losing to the Browns, and so that will be the tiebreaker.
They're gonna lose to Jacoby Brissett. Actually, I think Deshaun Watson will play.
No, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Cleveland in a minute, but yeah, man, they lose to the Browns every year. I don't know what that's about. They got swept by them last year, didn't they? Or they split. I know they beat them at least once.
Let me check. Sorry, y'all. Give me just a second. I don't got that fiber connection.
You don't got the 5G towers yet?
Oh.
Yeah, because I think they swept both Pittsburgh and Baltimore, Cincinnati.
First thing you notice when you go home.
But I just can't remember if Cleveland was able to beat them. Anyway, while Jake looks that up, Will, what are your thoughts on the Bengals?
Bengals, I think I'm taking a little bit of a step back. I actually have them at 10-7. I think that while they have seen some improvements, like they definitely improved their offensive line, which is obviously a huge area of need. I think this is just going to be kind of a slower paced offense. I think they're going to run the ball a lot more. I think they're just.
I finished 10-7 last year, so
I don't see him taking. Yeah, like I don't see him making a big jump forward. I don't think their roster's gotten Like they improved their offensive line, but I just think there's other teams that have moved, as we like to say, move the needle a lot more. And obviously having Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is a needle mover, but I don't think it does them much better than they do last year. I just think other teams have gotten better.
That's fair. Their Super Bowl losers do tend to struggle the next season. I know even the 18-1 Patriots missed the playoffs after losing the Super Bowl. So that hangover is real. And I think the Rams, after they lost to the Patriots, also missed the playoffs the next season. I don't know how far back it goes, but I know that for the longest time there was a long streak of Super Bowl losers not making the playoffs. But I this is gonna be a big year for Zach Taylor too, because he has to prove he can like do this continuously, and it wasn't a 1 year thing. I think the players, I think Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, I think they're all solidified. Well, Burrow and Chase are stars. Joe Mixon just a really good running back. Um, so yeah, I think Cincinnati has the pieces to contend. I just hope the coaching can stay consistent. It's going to be really good. Um, the team with probably the most controversy this year, the Cleveland Browns. So Deshaun Watson is out until week 13. He suspended 11 games. I believe their bye is week 12 or something like that. And so his first game back won't be until week 13 at Houston, because of course it is. NFL's got to make its money. I think this team is really going to struggle with Jacoby Brissett under center. I think the defense will be pretty good, but I just think they're going to not get much from the offense. The running game would be good, but you need a quarterback to be able to make plays, and that's just going to be a problem until Deshaun Watson gets there. So they'll get out to a very slow start. I think we'll start to see the vision in place once Watson comes back. I think they'll end the season like around. I think their last, I believe it's 6 games they'll have left. I think their last 6 games, they'll probably finish around 500 and finish the season, looking like a fairly competent team. But I think with Brissett under center, they're going to struggle to begin the year. I have them at 5 wins. Yeah, it's gonna be a long beginning of the season for Cleveland.
Well, they beat the Bengals twice last year, actually.
See, look, man, they own the Bengals. I don't know what that's about.
21-16 and 41-16.
Yeah,
I think the Browns gets to 7.
I got them at 7 too. I don't think they're gonna be bad.
I don't think Jacoby's terrible. They're a well-coached team. They've got a good O-line. They've got good pieces on the defense. They've got a great running game. I think that the pieces are set up for Jacoby to have a decent tenure over the first 11 games.
Yeah,
I think he can. I think he can win 3 or 4 of them. I think he gets like 4 wins, and then we see just Deshaun getting like 3.
I like him at 7 too.
I don't know. I guess we'll see with them. I'm really concerned with Jacoby under center. And then the last team in the AFC North, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I go through every team's schedule and kind of pick what games I think they could win and kind of base my win totals off that.
It's at 7.5 right now for the line for Cleveland. So
yeah, that's so tough. Like it really depends. They have a chance to end the year really well with Deshaun Watson. So I'm very curious to see how that's gonna look.
is he allowed to practice with the team?
Nope. Can't practice until his suspension's over.
It might not be as smooth as people think. He's great, but like just having a team, no practice, that's tougher than people give you credit for.
Anyway, moving to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So my thing with the Steelers is I really don't know how good this team is. They have a really good coach at Mike Tomlin. They have a superstar pass rusher and a lot of really good wide receivers. But the thing is, that's like it. And Minkah Fitzpatrick. So they have a star pass rusher, star safety, and good wide receivers, and a good head coach. But their schedule is pretty tough. Their first 4 is probably one of their easier stretches, and they play at Cincinnati, New England at home, at Cleveland, and the Jets at home. I think that's probably like their easiest stretch, and I think they might even go like 2-2 in that stretch. But then they play Buffalo, they play Tampa Bay, they play Miami, they play Philadelphia, they play New Orleans, they play Cincinnati again, and then they play the Colts before before they get a break with the Falcons. But then they got Ravens, Panthers, Raiders, Ravens, and Browns with Deshaun Watson to end the season. That is tough. And they're starting Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, and there's Bears fans that are super excited for that, and I'm not one of them. I think he's just waiting before he goes back to holding the clipboard for Kenny Smallhand Pickett's. But I think they're gonna be really bad. Like that's my initial thinking on it, but there are a lot of pieces there that could save them from being really bad.
The defense is good. You
Uh,
always gotta
But
give
I mean,
that.
it's really not. They really have just like two really good players, and it kind of elevates them a little bit. But the rest of the defense is just not that good. Like they were like they're really good at getting sacks. I mean, T.J. Watt helps with that a lot, but that's really it. They don't really produce a lot of turnovers. They give up a lot of yards.
Didn't they sign somebody? Did
I
they
think
get
they got Miles.
JC Jackson?
No,
Yeah, Miles Jack,
they
right?
got Miles Jack. Yeah, J.C. Jackson went to the Chargers.
Chargers,
But
okay.
they had lost Bud Dupree, so in the season before, so it was kind of replacing someone who's pretty good at that position.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think this is the year where Pittsburgh finally just every year y'all predict the Titans are gonna start to stumble, and I think mine is every year I pick Pittsburgh to finally fall off, and then somehow Mike Tomlin just coaches his team to 500, even though they shouldn't be.
Oh
So
no, their front seven is nasty.
I mean, what they have? I know they have Cameron Hayward, T.J. Watt,
Devin Bush,
Devin Bush is
Yeah.
all right.
Larry Ogunjobi.
Oh, they did just sign him.
Yeah.
He failed a physical for the Bears. He should have been a Bear. But I mean, I don't know. I would not be surprised if this team went 500. I really wouldn't. But I think this is the year that they're going to be really bad, and they're going to put Kenny Pickett in a lot sooner than later. I give Mr. Trubisky about 4 weeks, and then actually I'll give him till after week 5. Like after week 5, if they don't have 3 wins, they're going to go to Kenny Pickett.
I think, you know, 7.5 over under. I got them at the under at 7. Yeah, I just don't think they're gonna be that good. Offensive line's not great.
Their offensive line is terrible, man.
Yeah, I think Steelers are going to be bad, man. Mitch Trubisky, bad O-line. I mean, yeah, they've had some exciting flashes from George Pickens, and they've got some decent receivers, but like you said, they've got a couple good players on the defense, but I don't think it does enough. And Mitch Trubisky's just bad. I think they're going to have a terrible run game. I think, yeah, I don't think. I mean, in fantasy football, I was avoiding Najee at any cost, at anywhere he was going. I was avoiding Najee. I don't like the Steelers offense at all this year. I have them at 6 wins, and that's purely out of respect for Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin probably got all 6 of those wins. Mike, him and T.J. Watt.
Yeah, that's just purely respect for those two guys. If they didn't have Mike Tomlin, they'd be winning 2 games, I think.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. So yeah, man, that's our prediction for the AFC North. Moving on to our final division, and I saved this one for last because I think it's the most exciting division in the AFC. The AFC West. I'm gonna let y'all start with whatever team you want. Just go ahead, throw out whichever one you want to kick it off with.
The
I love all
Raiders.
these teams. The Raiders.
The Raiders. I know this one will be interesting.
Raiders.
I don't have them winning the division. I have them tied with the Chiefs, losing on the tiebreaker to the Chiefs. I think they finished 11-7.
That is the over under is 8.5.
Yeah, I'm
11,
taking the
6,
over
7.
on the Raiders. I would. I actually agree with you to the exact point. I think the Raiders go 11-6. I think they tied the Chiefs at 11-6, but I do think the Chiefs also win the tiebreaker. Um, yeah, man, I think this Raiders team is going to be really good, man. I think adding Devontae Adams is going to be such a big piece. Derek Carr, he really has no excuse this year, man. The offensive line is still a little skeptical. They just released Alex Leatherwood, who's now a Bear. Um, however, I I think we're gonna get a big year from Derek Carr, man. He has no excuses. He has the weapons. He has his old uh, teammate from college. He has a great third down wide and red zone target, Hunter Renfro. He's got Darren Waller, a great tight end. Josh Jacobs in the backfield. I think Zamir White, the rookie, is going to have a really nice year for them as a secondary back. Again, O line's a little questionable, but I think we're going to get a big year, and the defense should be good, man. I really like Max Crosby as their pass rusher. And then it's a Josh McDaniels is their new head coach. You know, he's gonna prove it here, man. He's gonna prove it because he had that bad taste of how he left hung the Colts out to dry, and the Denver tenure didn't go well. This is a big year for Josh McDaniels too. So, yeah, I think Raiders 11-6, but I think they do finish second in the division, missing out on a tiebreaker to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think for me the big question mark for the Raiders is their offensive line. They definitely have a questionable offensive line, but I think they'll be solid enough to get by. They've got a decent run game, but I think their passing offense is going to be huge this year. And I think honestly, I think we're moving to the day and age of NFL defense where it's not really the shutdown defenses now. It's do you have that impact player? Like you're going to score points. Teams are going to score points on you. Do you have that guy that can make the big play at the right time? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have, the Max Crosby who in the 2-minute drive is going to get that strip sack, just those difference makers. I think that's really what the NFL defenses are going towards, of just those types of guys. And it's no longer, we're going to see the days of the old defenses of like the Patriots and the Ravens back in the day where they're just shutting everyone out and you're not even scoring. It's everyone's going to be scoring fast paced offenses, but do you have those difference makers? And I think the Raiders have enough of those difference makers. And you're going to have to match fire with them. I mean, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. I think they're going to be able to put up a lot of points. Honestly, I think with this team too, I think just a lot of just the BS has kind of gone off the team. I think they're, the Gruden thing's over with. Obviously, they had the whole thing with Henry Ruggs. That's kind of over with. It's just a lot of the stuff that they've been dealing with, I think, is kind of over. I think they're through it, and I think they're finally seeing some like stability in that organization. And yeah, like big prove it year for McDaniels.
I got them at 9. I think they get the over, but barely. I think they got better offensively, but I still think they're worse than the division. I think they finish 9-8 with a winning record. So, good job. Just hate to see it.
That's not a successful season if you're a Raiders, so.
Exactly. You just hate to see it. So that's
I get it though. This division is tough. I think the only thing is wrong is that someone is going to be really bad in this division. I just don't see it. So yeah, I think the Raiders going to be the 6 seeds, just barely missing out on this next team, the Kansas City Chiefs. There are a lot of people who think this team is about to have this huge dip because they lost Tyreek Hill.
No.
I just don't see it, man. I do think, they kind of take a step back, but I still think they're a double-digit win team. I think they win 11
10.5 is the line.
Yeah, I would take them on the over just a little bit though. I wouldn't go super crazy with it. I still think they're contenders. To me they still have the best quarterback in the NFL. They have one of the best head coaches in the NFL. They've improved their offensive line. Orlando Brown's about to do another full year in that system. And they still have Travis Kelce. I think Mahomes is still going to look really good even without Tyreek Hill. Yeah, and I think the defense is just gonna be what the defense always is, just average. Yeah, the Chiefs defense always starts really bad, and then like as they get close to the playoffs, they all of a sudden start to ramp it up and get better. And I think they're just gonna do that again. Yeah, I think they win the division, get the 3 seed. You know,
Yeah.
Buffalo and Cincinnati, I think both beat them out. But I still think it's the Chiefs division to lose.
I think the Chiefs are gonna have a really good season, but it's gonna amount in them being 11-6. I think the AFC is just really tough. But I think a lot of people are expecting the Chiefs to drop off. Honestly, I feel like they've
I think Tyron
always-
Matthews more of a drop off point than Tyreek Hill.
Maybe.
that would
but
feel like
they
the
replaced him with
defense.
a Pro Bowl really good safety who's much younger. So they had a reason for doing that, you know. I don't think Andy Reid would let that happen for no reason. And Justin Reed's supposed to be really good, and he's way, way younger. So
Yeah. And Justin Reed was hiding in that trash in Houston, so a lot of people don't know about him.
yeah, I agree. But honestly, I think the Chiefs, they've usually surrounded Mahomes with a lot of weapons, and that was about it. It kind of seems like they're trying to build the offensive line. They're trying to build up the defense. They're trying to build everything but those skill positions. Not that they haven't added to them. Obviously, they added like Juju and drafted Sky Moore or whatever. But honestly, I mean, the Orlando Brown signing, they've made some great moves. Their offensive line's really improved. I think Justin Reed's going to be good
Rookie
on the second-
center. That's like one of the only things I'd be. a
Creed
little worried
Humphrey?
about. Yeah.
No, he was a rookie last year. He was
I was a
like-
rookie last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was like one of the best centers in football.
Then,
yeah, he
yeah.
was-
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, he was amazing last year. Yeah, man.
Kansas City Chiefs, according to PFF, have the ninth best
Offensive line.
O line.
Yeah, man. Giving Pat Mahomes time is that's a scary thought.
Exactly. I mean, I just think this Chiefs, it's gonna look. I think it's gonna surprise people just because I know a lot of people are expecting them to fall off, and it's like really they just lost Tyreek Hill on the offensive side. They lost Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah, those are big names, but honestly, you replace him with a Matthew, I think is way more of a big deal than I think. If anything, you're missing Matthew's locker room presence. I don't think you're gonna miss him on the field.
They lost Daniel Sorensen too.
They
that's
lost
been-
Daniel Sorensen.
That's been a,
Well,
that's a
Never, take me under.
He
Never
just-
mind.
He just randomly Daniel Sorensen randomly makes 5 plays a year. You're like, where do you come from?
Yeah, I got him at the over. I got him at 12 wins. I have him finishing 12-5, just like Buffalo. I feel like they beat Buffalo or they lose to Buffalo in the head-to-head matchup, and that's why Buffalo gets the 1 seed.
That's gonna be such a great game. I hope NFL should just make sure they play each other every year till Mahomes and Allen retire. Next team in the AFC West. This team has a new quarterback, a new sheriff in town. Broncos country. Let's ride. Russell
Let's
Wilson.
ride.
Russell Wilson, the Denver Broncos. So I wasn't as high on them at the beginning of the offseason. I thought that even though Russell Wilson is an improvement at quarterback, I thought this team would take some time, especially early in the season, to gel, and that would hurt them a little bit, especially since they're in just such a tough division. But I changed my mind. I do think this team's going to do pretty good. I actually also have them getting about 11 wins. I don't know what's their over under at.
9.5.
Yeah, I think.
The Broncos, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
9.5.
Yeah, I do think they go over that. And I actually think this division is gonna like just go crazy on the rest of the AFC and just kind of like beat up on everyone else and then beat up on each other. But yeah, I think the Broncos get it done. I think they get that last wild card spot, the 7th seed. And man, yeah, I just have a little more faith in Russell Wilson as we get close to the season. I think he's just going to get enough. He's just going to make enough plays to get enough wins and get it done. I don't think he's going to look the prettiest at the beginning of the season, but I think they have a chance to get hot near the end.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the Broncos this year with Russell Wilson. I got them winning 10 games, so I have them all over. 10-7, and I also have them making the playoffs as a wild card team at the 6th seed.
I'm a little lower on the Broncos. I actually have them at the under. I have them at 9 wins. I just think they're going to be off to a slow start. I think they're going to struggle in the division. I just think people are expecting a lot from Russell Wilson year one. I think we see a big year two on the Broncos, but I do think the Broncos. I mean, they've got a solid roster, but I just think it's going to take a little bit to gel. Yeah.
PS2, man. It's good.
Yes,
Good team.
Yeah, Surtain might have a really big sophomore year. So
Yeah, he
Yeah.
definitely could.
and then the last team in the AFC West and the AFC in general, the LA Chargers. Man, so everyone loves this team, but everyone loves this team every single year, unless everyone knows they're gonna be really bad. If the Chargers are like even kind of talented, people just love this team every year. I think they're gonna be really good, but I do think they are the LA Chargers. I do think they're gonna get double-digit wins, but I think it's not gonna be enough in the AFC, man. There's just too many good teams in the AFC, and I just could
So the
see.
line is at 10, which is weird. Not
I-
a 0.5. It's not
I-
10.5. It's just 10.
I would probably push that. I could honestly even see them getting to 11, but their division is so. I could see all four AFC West teams winning 11 games. Honestly, I really could. I think they're going to beat
They just got JC Jackson and Khalil Mack.
and Khalil Mack,
Yeah. So
but their coach is like really bad situationally.
yeah, I
like
agree.
he is not good situationally, and that cost them a few games last year. And I think it's going to do it again. And I can see just the Chargers in Chargers fashion. Final game of the season. I think they play the Broncos actually. Final game of the season, and they just lose to the Broncos, and Broncos take that. That's
That's exactly what I have happening.
So I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to come. Whoever wins that final game between the Broncos and Chargers is going to get the last playoff spot.
I actually have them both making the playoffs, but I have 6 and 7. So I have Chargers also winning 10 games. So Broncos and Chargers finish with the same record. But yeah, Broncos win the series between them, get the tiebreaker, or win the divisional tiebreaker.
I think the Chargers third place in the division. I got them at 10 and 7. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they win like 13 games. I mean, personnel wise, they added Khalil Mack and JC Jackson. Like that are huge upgrades at positions that just impact positions. You're talking edge rusher and you're talking your cornerback. Like that's going to make a huge difference. They've already got Derwin James. They've got the Bosas. I mean, they've got really solid names all across the board. They've obviously got great skilled position players. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler all had fantastic seasons last year. I mean, Herbert is definitely in a position where he could win MVP. I don't know, man. I just think they're gonna win
Not on a
some
10-win team.
fluky games, and I think it's just gonna be late game turnovers, coaching mistakes, stuff like that's gonna happen. I just think they're gonna not necessarily struggle. I do think they make the playoffs, but I think they're the 7th seed.
Yeah, man. And I know Brandon Staley is just an analytical guy, so that's what he always goes with. But man, I'm really curious to see what this team is going to be next year. I mean, well, this year. Football's about to start soon.
It's
We're less
2
than
days
40
away.
Yeah, we're less than 48 hours away. So yeah, that's the AFC. Please argue with us if you disagree. We don't agree with you because we're correct, but now we're gonna switch on over to the NFC. We're gonna start in the NFC East. And I actually want to start with the Philadelphia Eagles. So at first I thought I was just like too high on this team. I really like this team. I thought at first maybe I was too high on them, but I'm just like listening to more people talk about them. Just like on YouTube and in the NFL talk world. And I feel a little more confident in them because I feel like a lot of people are now kind of high on them. Uh, I think the Eagles actually win this division. Not only do I think they win the division, I think they can get the 1 seed. One, they play in a crap division, so they have that going for them. I'm probably higher on the Cowboys than I should be, and I'll talk about the Cowboys in a minute. But Cowboys just lost their left tackle, possibly for the season. So I think that is going to be huge for them, and I think they're just going to just absolutely destroy the Giants and the Commanders all year. Like they start the season against the Lions, who I think it's a good matchup for them because the Lions might be sneaky good, but they're still the Lions. I think that could be a really good win for them. And then Minnesota comes to them on Monday night the week after. It's I think they could. I think they could be really good, man. I think they have a really good shot to be the 1 seed this year, which is where I have them. And I think Jalen Hurts just has to look above average. That's it. I don't think he's gonna be just like I don't think he's gonna blow people away, but I think he's gonna have a lot of really good games, and where people are like, all right, maybe he is good enough to get the job done. But I do think he just won't be good enough that silences the whispers that maybe Philadelphia takes a quarterback next year or tries to get a quarterback next year. But they're close. They're close. We're gonna need a big year from Jalen Hurts though.
I also have Eagles winning the division. I got them at 11-6. I'm pretty high on this year,
How
man.
many wins did you say, Marcel?
I got them at 14 wins.
There's no way.
No way.
I'd
Tell-
go put money on that now. That's a good.
Yeah,
They probably
they're
got great
probably
odds on
great
that.
odds on that.
No, I like the Eagles. I got them to win 11 games, so I think Hurts is going to take a step forward. I really
About
like
to
him.
lose week 1 to the Lions.
They're not gonna.
That don't matter. Then they about to rattle off, 15 in the next.
Yeah, and then they're gonna get it going against the Vikings.
I like the Eagles a lot. I think they've got a solid O line, really versatile offense. AJ Brown's a great addition to the offense. Decent defense, not really that great, but I think they play a bad division. I think they can feast on their division. And then what they match up with the NFC North. I think they'll get a couple of wins out of there. I don't think they're going to have too hard of a time. They've got a pretty easy schedule this year, and I think it's really going to come down to the development of Hurts, which I do think he takes a nice step forward.
I think they win the division as well. I got them at 11 wins. I think it's just I'm not as big on. I think Hurts does about what we've seen. I don't see him taking much of a leap forward. We're just gonna get more of what we've seen. He can make plays, but he can also make mistakes, and the arm has question marks at sometimes. But and the decisions, that's really like he makes questionable decisions, but he makes great plays as well.
Over 13.5 is plus 700 right now.
I don't like that actually.
Yeah,
I'd be looking for plus 1,000 at least.
9.5 is the FanDuel over under, which is usually like even money.
Yeah.
I like the Eagles. I like them.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited to see AJ Brown with Jalen Hurts. Yeah, and they traded Jalen Reagor, so that's an upgrade alone. Just not having him on your team.
Well, we'll see about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. That guy is not good at football.
You just weren't using them right.
Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys, Stephen A's favorite team. The Dallas Cowboys. So I believe I did their prediction before the Tyron Smith injury. So I don't feel as good about it anymore. But I originally had them getting about 11 wins, but getting a wild card spot. Is that right? No, I don't have them getting a wild card spot. Yeah, screw them. Yeah, I think Dak is gonna bounce back. I do think that Dak was coming off a major injury before last year. And it was kind of tough for him to get back in the routine. But I do think Dak is gonna have a bounce back year. And I think their defense is gonna be pretty good. Micah Parsons back there. I think he has a chance to win Defensive Player of the Year. They got DeMarcus Lawrence still, Leighton Vander Esch, who's kind of just like falling off lately, but Sean Lee's finally retired. I think he retired 2 years ago. And then Trayvon Diggs is going to be, he's going to have so many eyes on him because he's very much either he's getting burned or he's getting an interception. There's like no in between with him. You're either getting a 70-yard bomb on him or you're getting picked off. So, I think 11. I do think they're going to miss the playoffs though, which is going to be hilarious. Cowboy Nation is going to go crazy. Mike McCarthy may finally get fired. Sean Payton may get hired.
I also have them missing the playoffs. I have them at 9 wins. I think their O line is not that good. I think Zeke's not that good. I think they're really gonna miss Amari Cooper. I think everyone is expecting a huge leap from CeeDee Lamb, and while statistically I think he does better than last year, you actually look at Dak's numbers with and without Amari Cooper, he takes a big step back. So I think overall that whole offense is going to struggle. Amari Cooper is a great route runner.
Yeah.
And
He gets
CeeDee Lamb
open.
is nowhere near the route runner that he is.
CeeDee Lamb has bad hands too.
Yeah, Amari Cooper, I think, is a much better receiver. I just think they're just gonna miss it, man. They're gonna miss Michael Gallup for a little bit. I think that offense is just really starting to crumble. They're gonna be having to throw the ball like 50 times a game, and they got Mike McCarthy coaching them. So yeah,
Mhm.
9 wins for the Cowboys at most.
I got them at 9 as well, which is under 9.5 is the line. Pretty much the same. I got nothing really to add.
So moving on to who I think are going to be the bottom dwellers of the NFC East. To start with the New York Giants, I think this team is just going to be just god awful this year, and it's going to suck. But I think it's going to mostly be at the hands of the fact that their quarterback just stinks, and they don't have like any real weapons around him. The O line might be improved with Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas, hopefully just taking another step. But the interior O line is still going to be really bad. He still has no receivers. I mean, Kenny Galladay and Kadarius Toney are his 2 best receivers. That's nothing to work with. I don't even know who their starting tight end is. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I would.
They got 7.5. The line,
I'm
or
hammering.
6.5.
I'm hammering the under, man. I think this team's gonna be awful. I think we're gonna see Tyrod Taylor.
FanDuel's at 7.5.
I think we're gonna see Tyrod Taylor this year. I think Brian DeBall really doesn't want anything to do with Daniel Jones. I just think he's just gonna give the kid one last shot, to go find a job somewhere else. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. Super rare that players just then ball on their 5th year. I think this is it for Daniel Jones. I think the Giants could be really bad. I think they're gonna be tanking for a quarterback. I think they only win like maybe 3 games.
Commanders.
The Giants.
Oh yeah, Giants 3 wins. I got them at 3 wins. They suck. I think they got some good offensive players, man. I think we see a big year out of Saquon. I think we see a big year out of Kadarius Toney. Other than that, I think they stink. Shout out to my boy straight out of Minneapolis, Ellerson Smith. He's hurt again to start the year. We hope to see him back on the field at some point this year, but that's definitely not a needle mover. We just, we'd like to see it. The hometown kid, but other than that, yeah, I'm really not excited for bad coaching, bad offensive line, bad defense. They've got Saquon and a promising second-year receiver who's had injury problems, so nothing really. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think the Giants, I got them at 3, and you know what? Putting them at 2 wouldn't surprise me at all.
I got them 5-12. I think they are bad, but not as bad as you guys think, I guess.
Yeah, I do think they got some like pieces in place, like the Thibodeau from Oregon. I think it's gonna be really nice for them eventually. Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal at tackle.
I feel like they'll be able to win some games only scoring like 20 points.
Yeah, I don't know if their defense is that good, man. I don't even know who anyone in their secondary is. I couldn't even tell. Xavier McKinley, I know they drafted a few years ago. I don't know who any of their linebackers are.
Yeah, but if they hold a team to 14 points, they can win a game. Or
Are they
16
going to hold? I don't
points.
know if they're going to hold teams to that very often. I know Leonard Williams is on the defensive line and Thibodeau is on the defensive line. They just released Blake Martinez, who I thought was their best linebacker last year. But I didn't watch a lot of Giants games, so he may not have been. But he was the most well-known linebacker on the team. Yeah, man, I think they're going to be just really bad. I think the defense is just going to. I think that's what's going to be the biggest issue. Their defense is going to struggle to stop people, and there's just no way their offense is going to put up enough. Man, Daniel Jones is not it. He wasn't it when it was the draft pick. He's not in now. But then again, when you're in a draft class where the only good quarterback is Kyler Murray, you're kind of, you kind of do what you got to do. Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins too. Speaking of Dwayne Haskins. Final team in the NFC East, Washington Commanders. I think they're going to be terrible. I think this is the end of the Ron Rivera era in the Washington, which it should end because he's too good for them. And get away from that terrible franchise, terrible owner, and a terrible stadium that's far away in a terrible city.
You have them under the 8.5.
Absolutely, they're going to be awful this year. I think they're going to be down there with the Giants and just get beat up by everyone this year. We are going to see Sam Howell.
But they played the Giants twice, so
1-1. 1-1. It's gonna be two really bad games between those two. I think we're gonna see Sam Howell like as soon as like maybe week 6 or 7. I don't.
You don't like Carson Wentz?
I don't believe in Carson Wentz, man. He was in Indy with Frank Wright, who's his former coach, and I think that just really gave him a lot of confidence to go out there and prove himself, in a system that he knows really well. But then even after the coach that got him had him playing at a pretty good level, didn't want him either. They shipped him off to Washington. And now you're in a completely new system. I really do like Terry McLaurin and John Dotson and Logan Thomas. So he's got some solid weapons, but I don't feel like Washington really believes in him that much. I don't know how much he truly believes in himself at this point now on his third team in 3 seasons. It's going to be a really long year for him. And I think we're going to see Sam Howell sooner than later. I think Washington's going to throw in the towel. They're going to fire Ron Rivera. Dan Snyder is still going to be the owner of them. They're still going to have a really stupid name. They're still going to have a really crap stadium. I'm sorry. But then again, last time I shit on Washington like this.
I was like,
last time I shit on them like this, they won the division. So I might be helping you out, Washington fans. But yeah, I think they're going to be really bad this year.
Yeah, I do not think it's the end of the Ron Rivera, but I think they're not great. I got them at 6 wins, but
Chase Young still isn't healthy either.
Yeah, otherwise I'd have them probably higher though. I like their defense a lot, and I think Carson Wentz is just good enough to manage a game and win some games with a good defense.
I mean, there's actually been a lot of reports the last day or two about Chase Young re-aggravating his knee injury during some Von Miller pass rushing camp. That's been out, so we'll see. Apparently, there might have been a setback to Chase Young, so we might not see him on the field for longer than anticipated. Which that's a big deal for them. I just don't see it, man. Ryan Kerrigan retired. They just don't have a lot of good players. Carson Wentz stinks. I think this is kind of the year Ron Rivera, like, I'm not gonna say gives up, but I just don't see Ron Rivera 100% invested. I think he's got his foot out the door.
He also had the cancer diagnosis, so I think that's going to be heavy on his mind too.
Yeah. Yeah, I have him at 6 wins. And that's, I think 6 wins.
Me too.
Nah, they're going to be garbage, terrible. But like I said, last time I said
3 wins is like, that's like disrespectful.
Man, I like their interior defensive line. That's like it though. That's the only, and Terry McLaurin. That's the only part of their team that I truly like. And also hope Brian Robinson gets better. Absolutely. Sucks what happened to him. Moving on to the NFC South. This one I'm pretty interested in. We had an interesting conversation about a team before the show started, so I can't wait to talk about them. But we'll save them. Kick things off. I think we all have Tampa Bay Buccaneers probably winning the division. I do. They're gonna be really good. They're gonna win like 12, 13 games. Right now I have them as a 3 seed. Like I said, the NFC is gonna be super top heavy. I think like the top 3 teams just I think
11
the
and a
top-
half's the over under.
Yeah, I would probably take the over on them. Plus, this is probably Tom Brady's final year, so I think we're about to just get the most
MVP season.
I think we're gonna get close to an MVP season. He should have won MVP last year.
He had a case. He had a case.
He finished second in voting, I believe. He was my MVP pick at the beginning of the season, and I still think he should have won it last year. But yeah, man, I think we're gonna get a big year from Tom Brady again. I think we're just gonna be like, honestly, could he play another year? I think that's what we're gonna
1
do.
seed? Do they get the bye?
Nah, I don't think they get the bye. I think they're like a 3 seed. Their offensive line is taking.
Oh yeah, you
so
got the Eagles at the bye, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
14 wins.
Yeah, Eagles and
Ridiculous.
Cincinnati are my 2 bye team. Whatever, man. Don't hate on Philly. Yeah, I do.
Don't hate on Philly. I hate Philly.
I know you hate Philly.
I hate Philly.
Minnesota fans hate Philly. But yeah, I Tampa Bay's offensive line is taking some brutal injuries right now.
Yeah.
So I am a little concerned about that. But I do think, you have Tom Brady. I do think that defense is going to be good. Losing Bruce Arians is probably going to hurt a little bit too. But that defense is going to be good. I think that team knows this is probably going to be the last ride. I think this is going to be their final dance moment, knowing Brady is probably getting ready to go to Fox next year. And, he's got a lot of personal stuff going on. Who knows what that's about? I think the NFL media is just making too big of a deal of that. If there's anyone who could just take freaking 2 weeks off from training camp, it's Tom Brady, man. Like as long as he comes in focused, which I'm
We're
sure he
talking
is.
about practice.
Right. If there's anyone,
No,
Tom
no,
Brady.
I saw a whole theory about how Tom Brady was on.
He's on the Masked Singer.
The Masked Singer.
I really hope this ends up being true, and he said it's not. He
Even
said
on
it's not
TV, bro.
true. He said it's not true, but I hope it's like I only have to say that because
Yeah, because he can't
Doesn't-
disclose.
Yeah, so I really hope this is true. That'll be absolutely hilarious. Everyone's gonna say it's Tom Brady until the show is over. But yeah, I think they're gonna win the division. I think they're gonna be like a 3 seed. They're gonna win a lot of games. But their O-line injuries are kind of concerning.
Yeah, I got him at 13 wins, securing that 1 seed in the bye. It's Tom Brady, man. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Tom Brady.
He's got weapons, and even if he doesn't, it's Tom Brady.
I also think Julio's gonna be better than expected.
It's one of the worst O lines he's ever had though, with these injuries.
Yeah, these injuries, and they had a retirement too. I think it was Ryan Jensen who retired.
Yeah.
Ryan Jensen, I thought he got injured.
Okay, he's got injured. I think maybe it was one of their guards that retired, and
Yeah,
one of them
but no, I
left
think
in
you're
free
right.
agency.
They lost I think they lost like 2 or 3 key guys on the O line. I like the Bucks to win the division, but I have them at 10-7, so I would actually be taking the under on the Bucks. I think bad offensive line. Tom Brady's going to be really uncomfortable. Looks like he's going to start the season without his favorite pass catcher in Chris Godwin, who's this kind of short route runner guy. I just think I see struggles. No Gronkowski, Jason Pierre-Paul left. Sue is no longer there. I just think they're losing a lot of big veteran pieces, a lot of voices in the locker room. And I think Tom Brady, honestly, I think he loves football, but I think he made it to 45 as kind of like a prove it. And I think that was Tom Brady's big chip on his shoulder. I think he wanted to get to 7. He wanted to get to 45. And so he's going to do that. I think he's going to stick it out this season, but I don't see them being that great.
Yeah, I could totally see the Ted wins. I still don't think that's the team you want to face in the playoffs just because they have
No.
Tom Brady.
And he's got that, he has to win his last season like Peyton.
Yeah.
You can't have Peyton have
'cause-
that.
Elway
Not only that,
went out like that. Peyton went out like that.
and Peyton will hold it over him too. Like, remember how you lost your final season and I won a Super Bowl? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those two. All right, so yeah, we all have Buccaneers winning the division, doing fairly well. So next thing I want to talk about is the Saints. Actually, So I actually was not high on the Saints, but I've actually talked myself into liking this team. Their defense should be really good this year. Um,
It was good
and
last year.
it was really good last year, and I think they're going to be really good again. But what I really talked myself into is Jameis Winston was really good before he got hurt last year.
He got LASIK, bro.
Yeah,
He's
now
good now. He can see.
and I mean his biggest issues were turnovers, man. Everyone knew he was
He
like,
was just throwing it, man. He was getting a lot of touchdowns, a lot of interceptions because he was just throwing the ball to the players on the field. But now he's going to be throwing the ball to his teammates on the field. So I like Jameis this year, man.
yeah, I do too. I think the Saints are actually going to be really good.
8.5
this year. They're going to be
is the
tough.
line.
I would take the over on that.
I got him at
I-
9.
I'm also
I,
taking the over. I got him at 10.
yeah, I think they're going to be really good. I have them as I think they could honestly win more than 10. Honestly, I think that's how good that defense is, and they have a lot of weapons on offense. Not at tight end, like everywhere else on the offense though. The wide receiver, they have 3 good wide receivers.
It could be a
They-
top 3 defense.
Yeah, and they have a really good running back. I could see them winning up to 12, honestly. I could really see that. It's gonna be tough to beat out Tampa though. They usually sweep Tampa too. Like they've owned Tampa except in the playoffs. Then I got
I got the Saints making the playoffs. Yeah, at 10. So,
I got them as
Wild
my 5
card.
seed. I got
I
them
got
as my
them-
5 seed.
6. Got them at 6. So
I
2 teams
see-
out the South.
Yeah, that's what I think we're about to get to. Next, I want to talk about the Carolina Panthers. They have a new quarterback in Baker Mayfield.
6.5 is the line.
That's so tough, man. Like, I probably take the under on that. I mostly don't believe in Matt Rule. I really don't think he knows what he's doing down there. I'm wondering what we're gonna get from Christian McCaffrey. I hope he stays healthy because he's so electric when he does. But man, he has had 2 injury riddled seasons back to back. It's like, and they've all both been soft tissue injuries. So I'm a little concerned about that. I just don't know how good their offense is. Even with Baker Mayfield, I just don't know. Like the Panthers just don't have an identity on offense. Maybe they get one with McCaffrey and Mayfield, both healthy. But I like don't know what they're good at. I don't know if they're like a running the ball team. I don't know if they like to throw the ball. Like, but it's tough when Sam Darnold's your quarterback. That was an awful trade. They should never traded for
That's
Sam
tough.
Darnold. But yeah, I think they only win like 5 games, man. And I think Matt Rule gets fired at the end of the season. But I think they're gonna play in some interesting contests, and to get those 5 wins, they're gonna beat a couple teams. You're like, all right, how did they beat them? Like they might get Tampa once or something weird. They're gonna be a weird team, but I really hope they fire Matt Rule because I don't believe in him, and I don't know what they're doing down there.
I think they finish almost 500, 8-9. Solid roster. I like the upgrade at quarterback. Can't be as bad as last year.
I mean, if Sam Darnold, you really can't do worse.
I think the Panthers, man, I don't like the Panthers this year. I think they're gonna struggle in the division. They're gonna get swept by the Panthers, baby. I honestly don't see them. They might win 1 division game this year. I think I give them 1, maybe.
1.
Maybe.
Oh yeah,
I think-
Will likes the Falcons for some reason.
Yeah.
I got a feeling.
Yeah, let's actually talk about the Falcons, man.
Let me just say
yeah.
something. I think Baker Mayfield is gonna beat the Browns when they play,
And that's gonna be the
And-
Panthers Super Bowl.
and that's gonna be the Super Bowl, and then they might win a couple more the rest of the season. Honestly, I'm just thinking about it now. I feel like I'm being generous with 6. I think they're gonna be really bad. I think we see a great season out of Christian McCaffrey. DJ Moore might put up good numbers, but he usually always does, regardless of who's chucking him the ball. But man, they've made some. They should have drafted Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, over Jason.
Atlanta
over Jason
Falcons
Moore.
has the lowest over under at 4.5.
Yeah, man.
And I have them at the under. at
I think
2.
they're gonna. I got them at the
I
end
got them
too.
2 wins.
That team, like their best players are all super young, man. They're like that's the thing. Their best one, their number one wide receiver is
Their
out for the
defense
year.
is just too bad to. They're not going to be able to score enough points.
Yeah, they have a really good corner in AJ Terrell, and that is basically it on defense. They're gonna roll with Marcus Mariota, but I think we're gonna see Ritter at some point closer to the end of the year. Their offensive line is gonna be bad. Kyle Pitts might get more than one touchdown this year, but I just don't see it. Plus
Kyle Pitts is going to get like 1,200 receiving yards. It's going to be ridiculous.
Kyle Pitts had 1,100 receiving yards and he had like I think it was 16 red zone targets and only one touchdown last year. It's not going to happen again last year. It's not
their
gonna happen
quarterback's
again.
worse
Yes.
though.
But yeah, their quarterback's worse and their defense is just as bad. That's
No,
where
the
it's,
quarterback. See.
he will get in that. I think Kyle Pitts will have a better year, but Atlanta is not going to have a better year.
Yeah, I think they only win like they're gonna be really bad. I think they only win like 3
I
games.
think Atlanta's. I got 2 teams that surprise people this year, and
I
I think
also think
Atlanta's one of them.
Cordero Patterson is going to show that he's 36 years old. So
Yeah,
we'll see if this rookie shows up.
He's
like-
32.
He's like
Okay.
50. That's like 50 in NFL running back.
All
here.
right, it's all good. They got Damian Williams and
Unless you're
Tyler
Frank Gore.
Algier, Drake
I just say
London.
he's
You know,
36 because of that LeBron meme or
we'll see.
video.
We'll see Drake London. You know, he'll have a good year.
Like, okay, so another problem with the Falcons, like 45% of their roster is Bears players from last year too. Like,
All right, I'm gonna be honest. You know, logic, and you could pull up some stats that would probably argue against my case. I just got a feeling,
going with that
and you know, what?
gut.
I wouldn't even tell you that you're wrong because you wouldn't be. But I think I just
But
I don't know
Wilson was
something
right.
about Marcus Mariota. I've just always liked him ever since he played for Oregon. Maybe that's probably where my bias is coming from. But I think he has a really good year, man. I think he wins a lot more games than people expect.
Yeah, I would be shocked if the Falcons are good.
I would be.
I'm
Too.
still going to be a sub 500 team.
I don't think they're even.
Yeah, but how many wins do you have, Matt? Let's hear it.
8.
No,
That's insane, man. 8. Hold on, I gotta pull up the Falcons schedule.
there's no way you're giving up
I
60
got-
points a game and scoring, winning 8.
Okay, so
This is too
they
much.
open the season against the Saints. That's a loss. Then the Rams. That's a loss. Seahawks. They could win that game. Cleveland. They could win that game.
No,
Well, with Brissett, I think
No.
the Falcons. I don't know. I think the Falcons could win. That
I'm
game.
telling
I
you,
think-
Cleveland is a very good defense. Like Cleveland is a solid coach team. Falcons are a crap coach team.
Bucks no. Niners no. Bengals no. Panthers.
My thing is, I don't believe in
know.
the Falcons coach. So
I don't believe in. I just don't think. I don't believe in their quarterback or offensive line. Like those
I
are
don't
both.
believe in
bad.
or defense. I think this is going to be the worst team in football, and they're going to be the number 1 pick drafting a quarterback next year.
Yeah, I can't see 8 wins. I'd be very shocked if they got to 8. I think if they get to 6, I think fans would be pretty happy about that. Honestly.
Yeah.
Um.
NFC West.
Yep. The NFC West. I'll let y'all start this one. Well, whatever team you want to go with.
We'll go with the Super Bowl champions, Los Angeles Rams. How about?
Okay.
I got them winning the division, 12-5. I think it's business as usual. I don't think we see any regression. Aaron Donald, Defensive Player of the Year.
So I do have the Rams getting double-digit wins, but I don't have them winning the division. Actually, I don't even have them making the playoffs. Their schedule is so tough, man. They open the season against the Bills, and then they get the Falcons, which is going to be a layup for them. But then it's Cardinals, 49ers, Cowboys, Panthers, 49ers again. Tampa, Arizona, New
So
Orleans.
you must be high
Chiefs.
on the 49ers because that's
yeah.
not it's not like
We'll get to the
they
49ers.
might split them, but like that's not like
But I'm sorry. Kyle Shanahan has beaten Sean McVay like 8 of their last 9 matchups. Even when the San Francisco won like 3 games, like Kyle Shanahan beat Sean McVay twice.
We'll
like
see.
Kyle
Over under,
Shanahan,
over
Kyle
under
Shanahan
10, and you have them under a 10.5. So
10 and a half. I have him barely under. I have him at 10. So like
yeah.
I could totally see them going over. But I think their schedule is super tough, and I do think they kind of have a Super Bowl hangover, with it being LA, and they're like, all right, we got it, man. Like, and let's just. Plus, I
Just
think
don't see
losing
it.
Von Miller's, I think it's going to hurt too. But we'll see. We shall see. Would not be surprised if they went all the way back at all.
Hey, you
I
got
like the
Aaron Donald.
Rams. I like the Rams a lot this year.
Yeah,
I mean, they added Bobby Wagner too. Like, let's
yeah.
not
Bobby
forget about
Wagner
that.
in the middle of the defense.
That was like I mean, they have a great player now on like every level of the field. They've got great defensive back, great linebacker, great player on the D line. I man, I like the Rams a lot. I think their running game. I think Cam Akers is going to struggle a lot more than they're used to, but I like the Allen Robinson signing. I think he's going to have a comeback year. Cooper Kupp is going to see a little bit of regression, but he's still going to be a beast and dominant. I don't see much changing. I think the Rams defense got a little bit better. Yeah, they lost Von Miller, but you had Bobby Wagner. I don't think you're really, man. I really like that team. A lot of
I'm a little
stability going
concerned
into next
about.
year.
I'm a little concerned about Stafford's elbow too. Yeah, after he led the league in picks. So I'm a
And you know
tiny
what?
bit
Those
concerned
those
about that.
concerns are definitely valid. I just think personally, I think a bigger deal is made than necessary about it. I think people are freaking out because it's the elbow. Now, are they going to be wrong? Not necessarily, but I do think Stafford has a really great year.
Okay, I don't disagree. I think the Rams do have a really good shot to repeat, but I just
They're
suspect a
well
little bit.
coached.
Yeah, I love Sean McVay, man. Just listening to him talk football is fun too. Jake mentioned this team that I'm really high on this team. I actually really like this team this year. And their quarterbacks from Minnesota. So San Francisco 49ers. I'm really excited for this team, man. I think they're gonna be really good. I think Trey Lance is gonna be out to prove it. He's got Jimmy G over his shoulder, just whispering, like, your first interception, they're gonna be calling for me. I'm a little, there is some like red flags coming out of San Francisco camp that people are a little worried about Trey Lance's ability as like an actual quarterback. His athleticism is definitely to be unquestioned, but he's made some questionable decisions in camp, and he has not played a lot of football from college till now. But I do think this team's gonna be really good. I think they have a chance to definitely get over double-digit wins. I think right now they're my 2 seed. Yeah, man, I really like San Francisco, man. I really want to see Trey Lance succeed and do well there.
I like him a lot. I think he's having a great year too. I think especially in the Shanahan offense, he's probably going to be running the ball 15 to 17 times a game. But I think that's great, especially if he's on your fantasy team. I have a lot of Trey Lance this year in fantasy football. I'm pretty excited about it, but I think it's going to be super solid. I will say, I do think by like week 2 or 3, Trey Lance is going to have some struggles passing, and I think we're going to hear rumblings about people are going to be like, oh, should Jimmy G be the starter? But I think Trey Lance is going to be fine. I think that team's going to win a lot of regular season games. Great defense, great offense. And it's Kyle Shanahan. They're going to be able to effectively run the ball. Obviously, we're expecting a big year out of Deebo Samuel. He got the contract he wanted.
Got paid.
Yeah, he got paid. But you know what? I'm excited to see a year of Deebo Samuel with Trey Lance.
Yeah, man. And is he a running back, a wide receiver, a wide back, a running receiver? Like, hey, he's just all over
Just
the
give him the
field.
ball.
Yeah, man. And again, one thing that always bugs me about Deebo Samuel is I took Brandon Ayuk at fantasy thinking that he was going to be what Deebo Samuel was. So.
Well, and what bothered me last year was I traded Deebo away for Calvin Ridley.
That's tough.
I probably would have won the league last year. Who knows?
That's tough.
So we like Debo this year. I like Debo this year. He's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, I love Debo Samuel. You got a good pick there. But what do you think about the 49ers?
49ers, I have them finished second, barely sneaking in at the 7 seed at 9-8.
Hey, only 9 wins. Trey Lance.
Yeah,
If they only finished with 9 wins, Trey Lance was not that good this year, or they had a lot of injuries. One or two. They have a lot of talent on that team, and they're really well coached. But Trey Lance not playing super well, I could totally see happening. So I know, but I think 49ers are gonna win the division. That's just me though.
I think they lost to the Rams how many times last year?
Once
And just
in,
just
in
in the playoffs.
just in the playoffs, they swept them last year in the regular season. That's how they got
Not
in.
gonna,
They
not
ended.
gonna happen again.
I don't know, man. Kyle Shanahan's he just coaches circles around Sean McVay when they play each other. It's really incredible, man. That's like the only like top coach Kyle Shanahan like just best every time, almost every time they match up. I love the 49ers and Rams games are fun now. That's really cool. Talk about the Arizona Cardinals. I actually think the Cardinals are going to have a really good year this year. I think Kyler Murray who's now being forced to study. It's gonna have a really big year. I think he's very much gonna prove it. Heard all the talk about questioning his love for the game and all that. I think he's gonna be an approve it year, man. Um, they just traded for the corner from the Raider, whose name I'm just totally blanking on. I think it's something. It starts with the M. The initials are TM. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, um, I think losing Chandler Jones is gonna hurt. I do admit that. And not having Hopkins for 6 games, but getting Marquise Brown, I do think that's an upgrade from Christian Kirk. I think if you could just hold your own offensively until DeAndre Hopkins comes back in the first 6 games. So try to be 3-3, 4-2. I think this team has a really good chance to go ahead and get that final wild card spot and win double-digit games. I don't think they really do anything in the playoffs per se, but I think we get like an MVP caliber season from Kyler Murray. He won't win it. He probably won't even be like top 3, but there'll be some like talk in like week 9 if Kyler Murray should be in the MVP discussion.
Until Call of Duty comes out.
Yeah, until Call of Duty comes out and then his numbers just dip.
I think we're gonna see another Cardinals season. I have them at 10-7. I do have them making the playoffs. I think they struggle a bit. It'll be an up and down season for the Cardinals. I think getting back DeAndre Hopkins will be a big upgrade for them, obviously, once he comes back. I think he comes back with a chip on his shoulder. I mean, he'll come back healthy week 7, probably mad about some PED allegations. And I also really like the Marquise Brown signing. But they did lose who they lose on the defensive side?
Chandler Jones.
Yeah. And he's definitely an impact player. Obviously he's aging, but he had a good season for him last year.
I got them 8-9.
Ooh, taking the under.
Taking the under. And
what's the total set at?
I'll get it for you.
The total for Arizona is actually I don't.
8-9. That's crazy.
They're worried about
It's 8.5.
You barely hit the under. I take the over on that.
I take the over on 8.5.
I think Kyler Murray's gonna study between his Call of Duty breaks.
I just don't. If Trez was here, he'd tell you Cliff Kingsbury just he doesn't finish above 500 or something like that. It's not a winner, man. 8-9.
I agree. That's very much true. Cliff Kingsbury, he's quite definitely. I think he's probably the biggest question mark on the team, honestly, when it comes to that team. How good of a coach is he? I don't know. I'm excited for the Cardinals though. They have Kyler Murray. There's a lot.
It'll be exciting. I just don't think they're gonna win as many games as you guys think.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting teams in the NFL. I'm really happy about that. And then the final team in the NFC West, we got the Seattle Seahawks. Now this team, I feel the same way about this team that I feel about Houston. They're just not a lot of talent on this team. They have two good receivers. They have a pretty good safety, and that is about it. That's literally about it. Their offense, they did draft an offensive tackle, but he was not good in preseason. Well, he wasn't good against the Bears. I believe he held his own against Pittsburgh, but he was not. He was awful against the Bears.
And the quarterback stinks. Let's just get to the main point of this whole
Yeah,
thing.
man. And when you have to start Geno
Stinks.
Smith, you're
When you
Drew-
trade for Drew Lock and he loses the starting job to Geno Smith, that's
I mean,
I mean, I don't know if
yeah,
it's a
man.
starting job, but you lose the job.
And he didn't really trade for Drew Lock. He was just kind of included in the
Yeah,
trade.
Denver just didn't want him. Denver just sent him with like,
Yeah.
you can have him for free.
That
Yeah,
team
man.
is gonna stink so bad. Their offensive line is honestly, it's probably between them. Let's see what Pro Football Focus says.
I
Yeah.
have them in the
Pro Football
Falcons are
Football
worst
Focus
team.
says that the Bears and the Falcons, or the Bears and the Seattle Seahawks, have the worst O lines in the NFL.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think Seattle's is actually a lot worse, just in my opinion.
Just a lot worse by far.
I think Chicago's definitely near the bottom, but I think Seattle.
they're a good 31.
Yeah, no,
Seattle's
Like they're in a tier of its own at
yeah.
31.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and Seattle probably should be like 33.
Yeah, Seattle's really bad, man. I think I was trying to, and as far as fantasy terms, I was staying away from the running game in that. I think they're gonna struggle a lot, man. There's no one on the defense, especially you lose like the heart and soul and your captain of the defense, Bobby Wagner, for so long. Like you're gonna be feeling that, man. It's yeah, they need to get Adams out of there.
5.5.
Under.
I'm taking the alt under 3.5.
Yeah,
I have them at 3.
yeah,
I
I
got him
think they
at
only won
2.
3.
I got him at 2. I
Yeah,
think
that-
Broncos beat him by like 40 points next
So you
Monday.
have Seattle as number 1 pick.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
man, they're gonna get Bryce Young. Throw the DK. Yeah, man, Seattle's gonna be really bad. But yeah, that wraps up the NFC West for me. We have one division left, our favorite division to talk about, the NFC North. Of course, we'll save the best 2 teams for last. So actually, let's just quickly talk about the Detroit Lions. Just kind of get them out the way. I think this
Got
team
bad
is,
news, Bears.
I think this team is going to be just like last year, where they're going to just be super competitive against everyone, but they're just still going to lose a lot of games. I still think this team is going to lose a lot of games, man. One, Jared Goff is their quarterback. Jared Goff barely ever wins.
It's 5-0 against the spread in week 1, baby.
Yeah, but he barely ever wins without Sean McVay.
They're gonna win week 1 against the Eagles. Trust me.
I just don't see it. I don't see it.
Trust me, Chief.
I think they
Take it.
win. They win like 4 games this year, but I think like almost every game they're in is gonna like be really competitive. But I think they're just gonna be the Lions. I love like Dan Campbell, like the motivator. Like I think he's a great team builder. I will give him that. But he's another guy who just makes questionable situational decisions.
6.5.
I take the under, man. I think they're still gonna lose a lot of games, but I think it is in their best interest to do that because this team is pretty much just a quarterback away from like being really good, and I think they should get one of those top quarterbacks in next year's draft and then shoot for the moon.
I'm big on Aiden Hutchinson. I think he
Shoot.
might move the needle.
Shoot,
said
I-
who?
I think the Lions are going to win 8 games this year.
I got him at 7. I got him at the over.
oh.
Vegas has them at 6.5. You
Yeah.
know what? I'm big Dan Campbell fan. I like Dan Campbell a lot. They've got a great offensive line. I think DeAndre Swift is going to have a fantastic year too.
Defensive
Amon-Ra-
rookie of the year.
Yeah,
Aiden
I have
Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson as my defensive rookie of the year. I mean, that's just at a position that moves the needle. But I think great coach, got some solid pieces on defensive, great on the defense, great O line. I think they're gonna have a great running game. I think we're gonna see Jamison Williams come back mid-season. He's gonna be really good. I think the Lions are the team to surprise everyone this year. They wouldn't surprise me if they go 9-8, go over 500.
I'd be so surprised.
7-10, finishing third in the North. That's where I got them.
Yeah, I definitely think they're gonna be better than the Bears.
Yeah, we all do, except maybe for
No.
one guy. But
You
He
The
know,
one
hasn't
thing that
accepted
Bears
it.
aren't gonna do is be worse than the Lions.
he hasn't accepted it yet. It's okay.
again, we're gonna talk about the Bears in a minute, but I just think the Lions are probably just one a quarterback away from really making that leap. I don't believe in Jared Goff. I think Dan Campbell again is a great motivator, team builder.
They might be good enough to beat the Bears twice.
Maybe they haven't done that in how long? Shoot,
Who
it's
knows?
been forever since they did. They couldn't even do it last year, and the Bears were just in shambles. Everyone loved the Lions. Everyone hated the Bears, and they still couldn't beat them in either game. And then I want to talk about the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers before we get to the final two teams. So I do think the Packers are going to be really good. I do think offensively they're going to take a step back. Their defense, I think, is very underrated. I think their defense is going to be really good, and I think their running game is also going to be really good. But I do think their passing game is going to miss Devontae Adams, man. They just do. I'm just not super big on any of their weapons in the receiving core. Now they have Aaron Rodgers, so that matters less when it comes to just evaluating how good the team is because when your quarterback can just make almost any receiver look good, you know, they're it's hard to say they're gonna be bad because of that. But I do think they take kind of a step back offensively. And I think they win. I think they win 11 games. I have them winning the North still. I'll say that. But I think it's gonna be really close between them and the Vikings. I don't think they're gonna run away with it. I think it go down to the final season. That week 17 game
It's
at
gonna
Green
come down
Bay
to
is
week
gonna be
one.
huge.
That's what I think.
Week 1 and
You can't win the division in week 1.
I mean, if you play in the Packers Vikings, it could come down to that one game. And you know what? I will say I've got them separated by one game, and I think the Vikings
10
win
and a
week
half
one.
is their over under. So you got them at the over
8.5.
10 and a half.
10.5. Got it. Yeah, I barely take them on the over on that. I don't think they're going to be too much higher than that.
I
But I
also
do
got them
think
at
they win the
11.
division.
11-6. Good old wild card spot. I feel like at the 5
Jake,
seed.
I can't wait to talk about who you have winning the division. I really do. I really can't.
I got Packers at 10-7. I think they're the wild card. I think, and I'm not saying that just because Devontae Adams left, but that's a big piece of their offense. And I think their defense isn't that good. And I think Aaron Rodgers might have been doing a little too much ayahuasca. So,
Hey man, Aaron Rodgers, let that man take his shrooms and Percocets and throw 4 touchdowns.
I mean, they was feeding him Percocets. That's how he beat the Bears.
It is. 2018 week 1. That man popped at least 3 of them and then went out for 3 touchdowns. So speaking of the Bears, I guess we could go ahead and talk about them.
Well, they ain't gonna be much to talk about, I don't think.
I think it is. I do think it's pretty crazy to say they're going to be the worst team in the NFL, which I think a lot of people think they're going to be. I don't think
they'll be the worst team.
I don't think they're going to be good. I definitely don't think.
I think they'll be the most exciting bad team, if that makes
but
sense.
I do think they're being slightly. I don't even want to say they're being underrated because I don't even think they're going to be that good. But I think they're better than a lot of the bottom feeders in
5.5.
the NFL. I would take the over at 6. If it was 6.5, I'd take the under. I'll say that though. If it's 6.5, I'd take the up. But I got
them at 5.
But I do think they win 6 games. They won 6 games last year, and I think this team is just not really much worse than they were last year. Khalil Mack did not play less than half the season. Akeem Hicks played less than half the season. Allen Robinson was non-existent in the offense last season.
I think they'll win a division game.
And I think they're going to beat the Lions at least once, and I think they're going to They're
Beat the
either
Vikings or
gonna
the
beat the
Packers.
Vikings or Packers once.
once.
They're gonna beat one of them once too. And then they might sweep Detroit, and that might be how they get the 3 division wins.
Bears probably have the worst skill position players in the league.
I disagree.
I like Darnell Mooney.
Who's
Darnell
worse?
Mooney,
Who has
David
a worse
Montgomery,
lineup
Houston.
of?
Houston.
All right, Houston maybe, but I like Brandon Cooks more than Darnell Mooney.
He could only name one team though. So
I don't like Seattle.
And
I think Seattle is
DK Metcalf is
I'd take-
way better.
I think
I
DK
agree.
and Tyler Lockett are better than any receiver you have. I also
I
think
don't think
Rashad Penny is probably just as good, if not better than David Montgomery.
I completely
I
disagree with
disagree.
both of
I
them.
disagree with that.
I don't think Lockett
Rashad
is.
Penny's pretty
I don't
good.
think Lockett is better than Mooney right now. I
I-
think Lockett.
I think Bears fans better hope Darnell Mooney is as good as Tyler Lockett because otherwise,
I'm hoping a big Cole Komet year. That's what I'm hoping for.
I mean, Mooney.
Or at least a big week 1.
I mean, Mooney had over 1,000 yards last year, 5 touchdowns, and that was with Matt Nagy calling plays. Like I think Darnell Mooney is really underrated by a lot of people. People don't watch the Bears offense, man. Darnell Mooney is probably a low end wide receiver 1 at best, as absolute best. Probably a high end.
I think that's like
2.
what Tyler Lockett is.
I don't think Tyler Lockett's a wide receiver 1 like at all. Not anymore. Maybe a couple years ago, but he was not that great last year.
The big question mark is obviously what does Justin Fields look like?
Well, actually, before I get to Justin Fields, I also think this defense is super underrated. Their defense was just bad at tackling last year, but I do think
That's
Matt
a big part of
Eberflus-
defense, you know.
Yeah, but I think it's because they just stopped caring about Matt Nagy. Like that team did not care last year at all, and they still won 6 games. And their schedule was a lot harder last year. Like they playing the entire AFC North. They had to play the entire AFC. No, they only had to play the Raiders in the AFC West.
Do you think Roquan plays?
Absolutely, yeah, man. He's gonna play. He's gonna play. I'm not worried about that. I am worried about what happens next year, though. But I do believe he's gonna play. He's gonna want that big money. He's gonna be out to prove something. And so, yeah, I think the defense is gonna be improved from last year. And one thing, so I know you can't. I don't care about being 3-0 in preseason. I think that means nothing to me. But I will say the most impressive thing about the Bears was their lack of penalties in preseason. Last year they just racked up so many freaking penalties and just awful spots, but they just look so much more disciplined in that aspect. And so I feel like that can really help the offense a lot when you're not starting at 1st and 20, 2nd and 20.
Yeah, penalties suck.
So I think the Bears, I think they're only going to win 6 games. So it's not like I think they're going to be a sneaky playoff team or even contend for a playoff spot. I don't think that at all. I just don't think they're a bottom feeder. I think they're going to be just at that very end tier mids. Like you have the good mid teams and then bad mid teams. They're going to be like a bad mid team.
Yeah, or like a good bad team. Can we say that? That's
Yeah,
what I said. The most exciting bad team. That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
But I think they win 6 games. O-line is a huge concern, and their wide receivers outside of Darnell Mooney, even though are going to be a concern. But I think Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, David Montgomery is enough of an offense to just not allow Justin Fields to just be god awful this year.
They're not great though. Skill position players.
No,
Like,
absolutely not great. Barely, maybe good. Barely good, but there's some talent there. That's what's going to keep them from bottoming out completely. Is that their defense is going to hold a few teams under 22 points, and their offense is going to like every 3 games maybe put up 25.
All right.
And Justin Fields, of course, Justin Fields. I don't know, man. I don't know. I still think just watching him, the talent is still there. I think just getting him in good spots is going to be super crucial for him. I'm not worried about his arm or his talent or his headspace. I'm just worried that last year he was just put in so many bad spots that didn't allow him to succeed. And this year he needs to be put in just much better spots.
Yeah, the Bears are gonna stink.
Yeah, man, but they're still gonna beat the Vikings once. Sorry.
It'd be
I
worth
don't
the
think
sprinkle
the
for
12 and the 12-5 Vikings
Yeah, I don't see them. I don't
division
know.
winners.
The Vikings went 13-3 and lost to the Bears, so I'm just really not worried about even that.
We're talking about the division winners, Minnesota Vikings.
The division,
Coach of the year, Kevin O'Connell.
Coach of the year,
Um,
you too, bro. That's crazy.
man, y'all are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all are just smoking dicks, man. Your your GM already said you can't win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins, man.
No, but we can get to the Super Bowl and lose with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, we're not talking about winning the Super Bowl. We're talking about winning the division, winning
And
a
getting to
playoff
the
game,
Super Bowl,
getting to the Super Bowl.
then losing it with Kirk
I bet our
Cousins.
GM has just as much confidence that I do that we could definitely lose in the Super Bowl.
So the most wins Kirk Cousins has had in a season is 10. Where you're predicting him to top
12.
that this year.
We are.
I got him at 11.
12.
Well.
So let me be frank. I think the
Frank.
Vikings are going to get double-digit wins here. They're going to. I have them finishing second in the NFC North, and I do have them making the playoffs as a 6th seed. But winning the division, man, maybe they should be in the conversation. I will acknowledge that.
If
But-
you got them winning double-digit games, so
Yeah.
they have to be in the conversation of winning
But
the division
damn it,
as
you
well.
guys are talking about making a Super Bowl, man. That's crazy to me. I don't even know.
Well,
if this
once
team
you
can
make
win
the
a playoff game.
if you make the wild card, you can make the Super Bowl.
I just
If you win the division, you can make the Super Bowl.
I think they're gonna be really good. I think they're gonna be good this year. I just don't think they're
The
as good
Bears
as
made
y'all
the
say.
Super Bowl with Rex Grossman, so
Yeah, we lost.
yeah, exactly. Kirk Cousins can be that guy.
That's true.
We also don't have that great of a defense, but you know,
We got some players that could be pretty good. We got a good
Exactly.
front line. We added a nice pass rusher in Zadarius Smith. Hopefully Daniil Hunter comes and has a great season.
but when we're scoring 40 points
Lewis
a game, it doesn't matter.
sign. He could be really good. He's a hard hitter, man. I think it really comes down to our cornerback play, I think, but I think obviously, along with everyone else, this offense takes a huge leap forward, man. We had Mike Zimmer at the helm. He was a solid head coach, but wasn't nothing special. Now we got Kevin O'Connell, baby. The
Yeah, and
curator
we
of the
have
Cooper Cup season. The Rams.
Offensive Player of the
Super-
Year, Justin Jefferson. Coach of the Year,
Huge.
Kevin O'Connell.
A
This is
huge
what-
lead.
This is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, huge leap.
Vikings.
I mean, for how much
Skull
smack
Nation,
everyone
we should
talked-
be excited this year.
For how much smack everyone talked about Mike Zimmer, yeah, we should be excited because that is such a huge. That's just
We'll be
like
scoring
our
40
franchise-
points a game.
Yeah, fundamentally changed. Yeah, we're scoring 40 a game. Irv Smith gonna have 1,000 yards. Crazy, I know, but he gonna do it. Probably not, but-
man. Why am
This,
I?
this is a new Vikings team. This is a team you've never seen before. 13-3 Vikings with Mike Zimmer. Yeah, the Bears can beat them. They're not beating a team of the Vikings putting up 40 points.
Kevin O'Connell hasn't even coached a game yet. My God.
And he's already coached.
And he's already coach of the
Already
year in
coach of the
my.
year.
Look,
in my eyes.
Vikings are set at 9.5 right now.
I like them at 12.
I like the alternate,
Man,
and I like the Bears have the worst record is only plus 650. That's third worst. I don't know if that ain't even worth it, to be honest.
third worst. Who has the worst? Houston and Seattle.
Let's see.
Atlanta.
Bears are gonna be way better than Atlanta. Man. I'm calling that right now.
The Bears
I
are
agree.
tied with Seattle for the third worst. Houston
We
at
ju-
plus 350, Atlanta at plus 400,
All right,
Seattle and
man.
the Bears at plus 650.
I know it was just preseason, but I saw those two teams play on ESPN, and it's not close. Seattle
Falcons way
Seattle
better.
is a tier.
Falcons are the best team in the league.
Falcon. Bears are gonna be better than the Falcons, man. Falcons are gonna be awful. I think bottom 6 or 7. I would say. I don't think they're gonna be bottom 5 though. I think 5 teams are gonna be a lot worse. Are they worse than Jacksonville? Like, I don't think so.
But you got the
They're worse
Vikings
than
in
the
the playoffs, right?
Yeah. Vikings. I got them as a wild card. I think they get in.
Super
They're not-
Bowl run.
Just don't see it. I just don't see it. This is still the Vikings we're talking about.
This is the Super Bowl run. We got the Juice rookie head coach. Nobody's seen him before. He's got game plans for everybody. No one's got game plans for him.
Man, that is a lot of faith. I don't even have that much faith in my new head coach. Like,
Well, yeah,
that's,
but you,
that's
you
a
also
lot of
don't
faith.
have Dalvin Cook. You don't have Justin Jefferson. You don't have skill positions.
I
like
listen. I would love Justin Jefferson. I'm indifferent on Dalvin Cook. I would love Justin Jefferson though. He looked great.
So you're
He looked
indifferent on
great.
Dalvin Cook, but Dalvin Cook, we will admit that he is twice as good as David Montgomery.
I mean, he's better. I don't know about twice. He is better.
He's a
I don't know about twice.
lot better
I don't know
than
about
David
twice as good.
Montgomery.
He gets shut down. He used to get shut down by Akeem Hicks every year. Never saw David Montgomery do that.
I bet you did in practice.
Probably not. Akeem Hicks didn't practice, so I can take it from a Bears fan. Like Akeem Hicks was on the injury report for not practicing like at least 9 times a year. Didn't matter. He played like when he played, he was still dominant. But they probably barely faced in practice. Yeah, I do have the Vikings getting in, and I do think they're gonna win double-digit games. They're just not gonna win a playoff game. That's it.
Yeah, Vikings to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I bet.
Look it.
I bet.
This
So,
is
yeah,
the year, you know.
we say this almost every year, but maybe one. At least one of you
I
has
think this is
predicted
my
this.
first year. I think predicting the Vikings. to the Super Bowl.
Will started
did
this.
it.
Will did it like
Will-
2-3 years in a row.
Will's done it before, but I think this is my first year.
I feel like Jake just be in the corner like wanting to co-sign, but it's like I don't want to get this on tape.
No, I couldn't co-sign with the Mike Zimmer. I am all for Kevin O'Connell. I'm for an offensive coach. This is exactly what this team needs. We have the talent. Let's get it done. Skull, let's ride.
Oh my god, yeah. We shall see.
Vikings
all right,
country. Let's ride.
That's right.
so just real quick, just kind of rattle off who your award winners are. If there's someone you really want to stop and talk about, go ahead and do that.
Kind of already mentioned some of them. I feel
I really only just want to talk about my MVP pick, but I'll just rattle off who.
Patrick
all I-
Mahomes, MVP.
Comeback player, Derrick Henry. Coach of the year, Nick Sirianni. Defensive rookie of the year, I have Jordan Davis, but I totally forgot about Aiden Hutchinson, so I
think,
probably would
yeah.
pick him. He just completely slipped my mind. Offensive rookie of the year and rookie of the year, I said Chris Olaf. I think I love Chris Olaf out of college, man. I think he's gonna be really good. Jameis is gonna love finding him. Defensive player of the year, I have Cameron Jordan. And offensive player of the year, I have Deebo Samuel, actually. That's how high I am on Deebo. You got a good pick there, Jake. You got a good pick there.
You could have had him.
I could have. I chose not to. I got scared. So, and then just real quick, I do want to talk about my MVP. I actually have Joe Burrow winning MVP. I think him and Josh Allen are going to be really close. But I think Joe Burrow, because I have the Bills. I mean, I have the Bengals as the 1 seed. I think that's just going to barely push him over the edge. But I'm expecting a big year from Joe Burrow, man. I think he's just going to go off this year. Just a bad taste in his mouth after losing the Super Bowl. This guy is a winner, man. Was at LSU, won a bunch of games there, won a championship there, had one of the greatest runs in college football history. And I feel like he's going to come back determined. He's got that appendix removed now. Expect MVP Joe Burrow, man. I'm on the hype train. I should have bet on that. I wonder what his odds are.
Probably not that good.
Yeah, probably.
MVP.
Eddie Mahomes.
Yeah. I
And
got
rookie
Josh
of the year,
Allen.
Sky Moore. We got that combination. Mahomes to Sky Moore.
No, you're really high on that one, huh?
Who's winning Depoy?
Depoy, Aaron Donald. I already mentioned that earlier.
Would that be his 4? Would that be number 4?
Something ridiculous.
Yeah,
Something ridiculous, but
More
who's
like-
better?
TJ Watt won it last year. It's funny. Defensive player of the year is kind of like the MVP in basketball. Once you get to 2 or 3,
It's hard to get again.
yeah, people are just like, all right,
Just
we
get
get
sick
it.
and tired of you.
We know you're the best defensive player, but we gotta give it to someone else.
Yeah. We all know Aaron Donald's the best defensive player in the league. My MVP is Josh Allen. I think He had an MVP caliber season last year. And I think voters are just going to want to give it to him. I think there's a lot of politics in the MVP voting, and I think Josh Allen kind of favored those politics this year. My offensive player of the year is Christian McCaffrey. I think he just has an absolute beast of a year. I think he just is Christian McCaffrey. I think he plays. I think we see him for like 14 games at least. My depoy, I have Micah Parsons actually. I think Micah Parsons has a great season, hits double-digit sacks.
That's an excellent pick.
I think, yeah, I like Micah Parsons a lot. And then I'm with you, Marcel, on my Roy and O'Roy. I have Chris Olave. I think him and Jameis Williams are just gonna, or Jameis Winston, sorry, are just gonna click right away. I think they're just gonna hit it off. He's looked excellent in preseason and training camp. So yeah, I might be buying into the hype, but I think he's gonna be really good. D rookie of the year, I've got Aiden Hutchinson. I don't think it's anything special. He's at a position where, you know, he has the unfair advantage. Sacks mean a lot, especially for the voters. So I think he definitely wraps that up. Coach of the year is my boy, Kevin O'Connell. And I'm really stuck between Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if they're going to want to give Christian McCaffrey comeback and offensive player of the year. So they might give that to Derrick Henry. Well, I think he's also going to have a really good season.
I disagree. I think they would give him both.
He'll get comeback. I don't think he'll get offensive because that's Jay Jettis.
Joe Burrow is plus 1,200 for MVP. He's below Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, and Aaron Rodgers are all in front of him.
I believe it.
Yeah, I like Mahomes to throw for 50 this year.
50 TDs?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I can see it. Man, what can do is Patrick Mahomes. Trey Lance has higher odds than Kirk Cousins. So Mac Jones has the same odds as Kirk Cousins. And so does Matt Ryan. Hey, there's Justin Fields. Just below Jonathan Taylor. All right. Anyway, we have been on for over 2 hours now. We gone through all our record prediction, our award predictions. And now to end the show, we got one last prediction left. Jake's already mentioned one of the teams. But now we have to give our famous Super Bowl predictions. Again, I like to say 2 years ago, I nailed it right on the head. And last year, who was last year? Cincinnati and Rams. I didn't get either of them right, but I was close because I think I had San Francisco and Kansas City last year. And both of them made the championship game and it lost. So yeah, we're going to end the show with our Super Bowl predictions. Odds are, usually when we do this, someone gets at least a team right. I believe Will picked the Rams. I think you might have picked them to win it last year.
I might have picked them to win last year. I know I was big on the Rams last year.
Yeah, you were super big on the Rams. So this year, we'll see what we got.
I took a year off from being big on the Vikings, and I think I got it right.
So that means you're due now to repick the Vikings. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off because I'm not picking the Vikings. I talked about them a lot in today's show, how I'm really high on them.
Beagles.
No, I actually think the Eagles are going to underachieve in the playoffs. I think they'll overachieve in the regular season and underachieve in the playoffs. But I really like everything about this team. Their running game is elite. Their O-line is elite. Their defense is probably going to be elite. The biggest question mark is their quarterback, but I do think their quarterback is going to be good enough this year that's going to push them over the top. I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl. And I think they're going to do it by beating the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. And the Bills will go to 0-5 in the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be it would be a fantastic game. I think Josh Allen is going to just go on a great run in the playoffs. And just
so you think Trey Lance is actually good?
Yeah, I think he's going to be good, man.
He doesn't make decisions like a Super Bowl.
The problem is he has I think he has a really high ceiling, but also a really low floor. And so
it's going to come down to decision making.
Yeah,
because to win the Super Bowl, you got to be able to not turn the ball over in crucial times.
Absolutely. But I also think there's a chance that when the playoffs come, they're just going to tried their best to keep the ball out of Trey Lance's hands from making those decisions. I mean,
Hopefully he's rolling by that time.
Yeah, but I
If
mean-
they're in the playoffs with him, I feel like confident.
But I mean, that's what the 49ers did with Jimmy Garoppolo, man. They just did their absolute best that he didn't have to make a lot of big throws and make big
he
decisions.
also doesn't make a lot of mistakes. That's the difference
Yeah,
between
and
the two.
Lance
Man,
has
Lance
a
will
good
make
chance to make a lot of
mistakes, but he also makes plays.
Right. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm rolling with
That's
San
a-
Francisco 49ers over the
I
Buffalo
like it.
Bills.
I like it.
I already have my ticket. I already bet on them to win it. Yeah, I have a
That's
feeling.
like plus 5,000.
Yeah, I have a feeling one of those teams is gonna win it. But I picked the 49ers because I think the Bills curse is gonna continue.
I also have the Bills in the Super Bowl, but I have them beating the Vikings in the battle of the curses. We got two teams 0-4 in the Super Bowl, and one of them's going to get their first one, and it's not going to be the Vikings.
It's that Super Bowl would be the first one to ever end in a tie. It would just go to overtime. It would just keep going to overtimes and neither team scores, and then NFL's like, fuck it, neither of you are getting this. We're not. No. You guys are both done. Neither of you deserve it.
It's too much money on the
You're-
line. I
you're
feel
o-
like they would
You're
take
0
everyone's
4 and a
money.
half. You're 4.5.
Can't tie in the Super Bowl.
You're gonna make it. So Bills over the Vikings, man. You guys are so high on the Vikings. You got. Man, I'm not gonna knock your fans up.
Hey man, I just had big storylines, you know.
Hey.
The battle of the curses. That sounds fun to me.
Where's the Super Bowl this year? It was in LA last year. I think it's in Arizona this year. It is in Arizona this year. So last two teams to host have won it. So Will, you picking the Cardinals?
No, I got the Ravens winning actually.
Ooh.
I think the
Lamar
Ravens.
Jackson.
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson really does take that leap forward, and I have him beating the Packers. I think Packers get really close, and then Aaron Rodgers gets crushed. But I think it's the Ravens' year. Honestly, I think it's due. They've been right on the brink for a while now of just having a really deep postseason run. I think they've got all the right pieces. Great coach team. And you know what? If you're looking for a good team to put your $200 on the FanDuel promo bet, Super Bowl promo, I'd like the Ravens actually at plus 2,000 to win the Super Bowl, and then you get $20 back every time they win a regular season game. So we like them. We like them to win 12 games, win you some money, and maybe
You get
win
a
the
free
Super Bowl.
bet for this promo.
We're actually we just signed
You're
a big
sponsored?
deal across. No, I don't know if you heard, but across the plane, actually, we just signed a
I
big deal with
didn't actually
FanDuel.
hear. Cut me that check.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's because you're down too much. They said you don't hit enough parlays.
Yeah, so our next show you're gonna see FanDuel and all the
Yeah.
corners.
Then we're gonna have
Make sure you watch out.
we're gonna have all
Free
the lines
promotions.
rolling across the screen. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, we are just saying their lines, so
Yeah. Well, guys,
good show.
listen, this is always our long show. It just goes on forever. So much to talk about, so many opinions to give. But I love the NFL prediction show because odds are none of us are going to be right. But you know what? This year is going to be the year where one of us gets every single prediction right.
I'm pretty
This
sure the
isn't.
Vikings are going to lose in the Super Bowl. I'm very confident.
I'm feeling very confident that's going to be the one thing that does not happen. It's the Vikings are making the Super Bowl. But then again, who knows, man? NFL is legitimate, in my opinion, it's the only of the four major leagues where it truly feels like almost anyone could win it any year. NBA, you kind of feel like you know what teams are going to be there. At baseball,
Single game elimination. That's
Yeah,
the
man.
difference. The single
if-
game elimination.
Yeah, that
versus
is
a
definitely
seven-game series.
that is the difference. It's not a series.
Any given Sunday.
It's just one game.
Yeah, in NFL season, there's just so many less games than the rest of them. So like every game is just so important. If you just go on 1 4-game win streak and sneak into the playoffs, that just could make a huge difference. So yeah, man, I'm super excited. Football starts on Thursday. Man, we're gonna just have so much more to talk about now, man. Once the NFL season gets rolling, that's it, man. Like I said, I said this at work and at the beginning of the show that this is the last beginning of the work week you go in and you're not going to talk about football with your coworkers. It's the last time.
Uh,
Next Monday when you go into work.
Your coworkers don't play fantasy football.
Yeah, we were talking fantasy football, but I mean, we could talk
Yes.
about games that have actually happened. This week, it's just all who's on your team, who did you draft? Oh,
Look at
what-
my team.
Look at my team. Oh, your team's nice. Your running backs are garbage. But yeah, next week we're gonna be talking about games that have actually happened. So I'm super excited. So yeah, we're gonna end the show tonight. My name is Marcel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. You can go like all my pictures there. Make sure you go follow me on Twitter. You can like all my bad takes on there. Stop at Styles_Rapist Life. That is both of my handles on there. Yeah, but please, especially my Twitter, man. I love talking sports with people on Twitter. I got to an argument with a Packers fan today because I said their wide receivers are trash and Darnell Mooney would be their best receiver. He didn't like that. But it's okay because I'm going to keep talking trash until they beat us week 2 and I'm probably going to disappear. But yeah, make sure you give us a follow.
Yeah, folks, this is Will signing off. As always, check me out at Sports Talk Willie. Check out the main page, give us a follow. We will be back now. That's NFL season, NBA season right around the corner. That'll come up in not too long here. But hope you liked our predictions. Hope you come back to these throughout the season and talk about how terrible they were. We always like to, forget all of the dozens of bad takes we make and hope that we have one good take and talk about it for the rest of our lives, So that's what we're going for here. I'm hoping I can ride this 8-9 Falcons and talk about it for the rest of my life. So I'm early on the Falcons train, baby. Birds up.
Jake the Rookie, and that's THA, just like across the plane. If you happen to find this on YouTube and watched all the way through and haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And, if you have any interesting takes, feel free to leave them in the comments here. Thanks for joining our podcast.